Hello and welcome to Jersey. The semi-finals, we thought the conditions were bad yesterday. Bodies are bruised and we woke up this morning in just about the worst possible conditions for a triathlon. The wind gusting at about 50 to 60 miles an hour. But the top 15 men and women who have made it through the semi-finals are now set for the finals here of the first championship round of 7 here at Super League Triathlon. Jersey, for the third consecutive year, has turned on some interesting weather, and it's going to be changeable across the course of the next hour or so of racing for the women's final. My name is Will McCloy. Alongside me and fighting hypothermia is two-time Ironman world champion Chris McCormack and world number 3 Georgia Taylor-Brown, who yesterday said unfortunately she was injured. Today it's a fortunate injury. Macca, I'll start with you. Just a quick recap. I'd love to ask you, what's Super League Triathlon all about, and did you sign up for this?
I'm quitting. This is not what we signed up for, but it's just one of those things when you put on an event. Super League Triathlon's about bringing the best athletes in the world together, and we've done that. Conditions like this make things quite difficult, so the show must go on. The athletes, I had the opportunity to speak to the women and told them about the course changes. They were very, very relieved and still excited to race.
All right, the changes only happened in the last 20 minutes or so. We want to put on the race that we signed up to do, the Enduro, which is a swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. We'll now be missing the bike. The conditions, Mac, are just too dangerous.
Too dangerous in an Olympic year. It's so gusty. I'm sure the camera is showing how gusty it is. It's amazing. There's sections on the course where you could potentially get away with it, but it's just too dangerous with barriers falling over and, with an Olympic year coming up, we just don't need any of our stars crashing before an Olympic Games.
Georgia, we just saw your compatriot Vicky Holland run past into the wind. She was going at a waddle, and with the wind, she's going very fleet-footed. What do you think about the decision you made? I'm sure the athletes and yourself are relieved.
Yeah, she's still wearing a smile. I mean, in these situations, if you don't smile, you're just going to cry. So I think you just have to laugh about it. We have to get on with it. Everyone's in the same boat. They'll just deal with it. We dealt with it at Tokyo test event. We found at 4:30 in the morning. It changed, so we just deal with it, and it's still a race. You get it done.
Here's the thing, though. To be Super League champion, you need to do the most brutal races with the most brutal formats and do it again and again, and this is what Super League is going to throw at us. We've got some fantastic athletes lining up in our women's final, and it will be a swim, run, swim, run, swim, run. I don't know who that plays into, but this is the points on offer. 15 for the winner, all the way down to 1. So if you've made it through the semi-finals yesterday, you're going to pick up at least 1 championship point. Also, the winner of this round will pick up $20,000 US, but most importantly is those championship points, Macca.
Question, and all the women, or actually all the athletes racing are chasing championship points for the end of the season, and it's very, very important for them. But these conditions, either with the changes to the format, without the bike, are still going to play havoc. This run is very, very difficult with a very strong headwind, and it's anyone's race to win.
Let's have a quick look back at yesterday, and it was Vincent Lewis and Hayden Wild who, in the men's racing, were just about unbeatable. Georgia, we know Vincent can do that, but Hayden was special in his semi-final.
Yeah, and I think Hayden actually had a quicker race yesterday as well, and he was out front on his own, and it was really impressive what he did. So Hayden is not as strong as swimmer, but he's a really strong runner. I think it'd be good that there's no bike today, but he'll still get out of that swim as hard as he can, and he'll be in it.
Macca, you and me were at lunch with Vincent Lewis before, and I said, what do you think of the fact that Hayden was 30 seconds faster than you? He goes, I have so much more left in the tank.
Yeah, I was cruising, he said. Which just epitomises everything Vincent is. He's such a tactician. He watches everything that's going on, and he was aware of Hayden's performance yesterday. But with this eliminator format happening from the back, in the Enduro with 3 times through, eliminations are happening after every single discipline. I think he believes that Hayden Wild may find himself in some difficulty after one of those swims.
And he certainly put everything into it yesterday. What about Georgia, the Cassandra Bova-Grant versus Katie Zafiris battle? They were both in the same semi-final. Cassandra had the best of it. There was that one changeover the last time when they came in off the bike and onto the run. That's when Cassandra really put the hammer down and she couldn't be caught.
Yeah, I guess obviously transitions are still important, but maybe not as important today. But I think the women's race is going to be really close. They're all swim runners, especially, so I think it's going to be really close today, and we might find ourselves a new interesting winner.
Who is going to hurt? Rachel Klammer was the winner of semi-final, but she never won a Super League race before. She really enjoyed that last 800 metres or so. She could be one athlete who might find the going a little bit tough today, but good to see her get a win in yesterday.
Yeah, I think as long as Rachel stays there on the swim, if she's out there with them when they get onto the run, she's going to be a stiff competition to beat today. But yeah, I was definitely impressed with Rachel yesterday. She seemed like she was holding a lot back. She was just taking in the crowds and enjoying the whole experience.
I thought it was tough conditions yesterday, but now looking at that on the screen, it looks like we could go there for a beach holiday. It's a little bit different today. We're going to have a look at the start list as we nearly get blown away for the women's final. And once again, it is an aquathon, essentially. An aquathon enduro. Swim, run, swim, run, swim, run. Look at those names. And also the word short shoot sitting there. If you won a heat yesterday, as did Cassandra Bogran and Rachel Clammer, you get that little advantage, probably about a 3-second advantage on one of the runs, a shortcut.
Oh, it's a shortcut that could win this event. What's very, very difficult about today's conditions is this whole finish straight. So this finish straight's in a stiff headwind. That's when you'll be able to take that short shoot with a sprint to the finish. I think the athlete's going to take that on that last lap and use that tailwind to the finish line. It could be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? We know what the best part of this burst bit is, so we get to go to the commentary box in a minute.
Oh, it'll be warmer there.
You know who doesn't? Jo Ankia. We've sent Jo Ankia down to the pontoon. She'll be out on course all day long in these conditions, and she's found Megan Foley.
Thank you. We're going to be enjoying it out here. I have Megan Foley with me right now, who wasn't well yesterday, had to unfortunately drop out. Probably quite glad today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I was told that jumping in that water might be a good way to break a fever, so I thought I'd test it out and see. But yeah, not my day. Today is definitely going to be tough conditions, but it's always hard to not race.
Okay, and of course the big news today is that there's no biking for the women. Now, your fellow countrywoman, Katie Severus, she got beaten yesterday by Cassandra. How do you think she'll fare over the swimming and the running legs of this course?
You know, it's really going to change the game without the bike. Cassandra is definitely dangerous over a short swim, and her run is obviously amazing. But Katie's one of the toughest, mentally toughest athletes I've ever met, so this might just be her day.
And of course, you at least got to try out the course yesterday. What did you notice in terms of anything else that's tricky? Where, for example, do you think Katie might be able to catch up? She also won't have the short shoot.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. Cassandra definitely has that advantage. I think she's just going to have to keep her head down and be tactically smart throughout the course, and best of luck to everyone out there racing today.
And how do you think the wind might affect the tactical decisions that the athletes make today?
Oh, it's hard to say. There's definitely some areas of the course that you really have that wind coming into play, and then other areas where you'll have a tailwind. So I think you might see some special moves coming in where there's a headwind, where there's a tailwind, and then of course coming up that ramp out of the swim is a key area of the race as well.
Coming up that ramp out of the swim, that is something that hasn't been talked about enough. And again today with this wind, is that the kind of area where some athletes might actually use it to their advantage?
I definitely think so. I think that's going to be a key area that we'll see athletes make moves today, and not only going up it but also running down. It's really hard on the legs after you've done the run course to then go slamming on a downhill, so it should be interesting to watch.
And they'll have to do that a fair few times today. Well, thank you so much, Megan. You go get warm and we'll see you in a short while.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Joe. The conditions continuing to deteriorate up here in transition, but we're seeing some shots before of the locals here in Jersey who they would come out in a typhoon, would they not?
Well, they're all coming out. They're saying the wind's not that bad. It's only a gale force 7. Well, I've never seen anything like it. It's you know, the people here in Jersey are remarkable. They love Super League coming to the island, and they'll turn up in their droves.
Before Henry Schumann blows away, we're going to introduce him into the chat. Henry injured and obviously second overall in our championship last year, and today's a good day to not be racing, Henry.
I would actually prefer racing, especially now that the course has changed with it being a swim run. So it's going to play into the hands of the swimmer, and of course I'd love to be racing rather.
How do you think your main title rival Vincent Lewis does in these conditions? He's got a great swim on him, and if anything that plays into his hands. Is there anything honestly that doesn't play into his hands?
Not really. I think he's got all the strengths out there, and it's definitely going to play into his hands. I think Hayden's going to have a tough time sticking to his feet, especially in the water. So he'll have to be using his run to try and keep as close to Vincent Louis as possible. We might even see him use his short shoot a little bit earlier to try and get advantage getting into the water ahead of him. So it will be quite tactical out there.
Absolutely. Well, we're hoping that the men will still be able to get on their bikes if this wind does die down. That's at 4 o'clock British summertime. Not too long now. It's going to be 2:20, so in about 25 minutes that we're going to see the women start. So it's a 10-minute delay. There have been plenty of little moments already, even in the conditions yesterday, especially out on the bike, as we saw a few little, well, that's Taylor Spivey and Yuko Takahashi. We'll see Ali Beto as well have problems on the bike, Macca.
Oh, they would have had huge problems today, but yesterday we saw that was the big crash we saw right there. It was, and that really put Leonie Perrier out of the race. She really would have loved these changing conditions because she swam and ran spectacularly yesterday. But interesting, I thought Rachel Clemmer did most of the damage yesterday by being very technical on the bike. What will that play today? Will she be able to? She's not going to be able to use that bike because it's gone. Will she be as close to the front as she was yesterday? That's a big question.
We saw Emma Jeffcoat there leading and then forgetting to take a foot out of the shoe and getting stuck just before the dismount line. That's how quickly things can happen. Now, Emma Jeffcoat, interestingly, they all got to choose their pontoon positions based upon their finishing position yesterday. Everyone went on the inside of the pontoon except for Emma Jeffcoat, who decided to put herself in pontoon position number 15. What do you think of that? Because it is longer to the buoy, Henry.
It definitely is longer. I think she's really going to try use her swim strength to have some clear water, get out there. Hopefully she'll come around on the outside. But the inside line is definitely the shortest and the quickest. We've seen that in yesterday's racing.
All right, can I get predictions from both of you? We've got about a minute before we head back down to Joe. How do you think this one's going to play out now that it is a swim run? What do you think, Henry?
I think for the women's, it's going to be Beaugrand. For the men's, I think it's going to be Lewis.
That's a French domination, according to Henry. What do you think, Macca?
I'm going to go with Cassandra. What's going to be interesting is when they come off this hot corner here and they march down this straight, I think you'll see the women line up. Someone as strength of Katie Zaferis, everyone could line up behind her, use this tailwind. I just think Cassandra's long legs and a loping run stride is going to win this event. On the men's side, you can never go past Vincent Lewis. I think this suits him even more than adding the bike.
Okay, so everyone thinks the French are going to dominate today. We'll see if that is indeed the case. And right now we'll head back down to Joe. She's with Graham Atchison.
Yes, I've got our analyst, Graham Atchison, with us, who's been working rather hard because you were crunching the numbers last night and now it's all changed.
Yes, exactly. With the news that the bike's been cancelled, I just tried to quickly rerun it, and it's advantage Beaugrand now. Relatively speaking, I mean, these guys are all phenomenal athletes, but relatively speaking, Zafira's strengthens her bike. So to remove that, and with Beaugrand having the short chute, Katie's day's got a lot harder.
Okay, so the world champion is going to be under quite a lot of pressure, and with the short chute as well. It's quite hard to predict, I suppose, with these wins, but how much do you think there could be in it?
I mean, I think I had about 10 seconds in it, so it's going to be a tight race whichever way it goes, I think.
Now, removing the bike section, of course, it does obviously remove a lot of the unpredictability factor, doesn't it? So with the swimming and the running, is it very likely that you think that the predictions will go to plan?
I think on a day like this, it's going to be very unpredictable. So I don't particularly want to stick my neck out. I think today the conditions mean that the athlete with the most grit and determination is going to get across the line first.
Okay, now let's look at the other athletes down the course. Of course, Rachel Clemmer had a fantastic day yesterday. Any other athletes that may be strong over the swimming and the running?
I like to look at Clemmer yesterday as well. I thought she came around the course, she looked very comfortable, she was grinning when she came down the finish line, so she was my pick for third actually. I reckon Olivia Matthias, I think the British girl yesterday, she came from nowhere. She's an SLT newbie. She has never raced it before, and so I think she could be good for it as well.
Okay, and Cassandra and Katie will be starting next to each other today. That made quite a lot of difference yesterday. They'll probably be working together a little bit, you'd imagine, because of the wins. How do you expect that to play out?
Yeah, I think Zafira's lost it on the first swim yesterday with her pontoon choice. She chose number 13, which was right at the end, and Cassandra went for number 1. I think that affected the race quite a lot. So being right next to each other, I think Katie's going to mark her.
Okay, thank you so much, Graham. Excellent insight there. We'll see how the wins play into it. Back to you.
Very hard to get the data to tell the story here because we've got an absolute gale blowing here in Jersey. St Helier has just about been blown away, but there are still plenty of Jersey locals out here ready for the countdown to the women's final. An aquathon swim run, swim run, swim run. Not too long now until we get things underway. Cannot wait for that. Very soon, the women's Super League final from St Helier. Hello and welcome to St Helier in Jersey in the Channel Islands, just 5 miles off the coast of Normandy, France. And today some very, very challenging conditions, 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. And our finalists after the semi-finals yesterday in the first round of the championship are bracing themselves for tough conditions and some tough racing. And that is what Super League Triathlon is absolutely all about. All on the line for our top 15, and it is time to get down to business. Takahashi, who has fallen over. Cassandra Beaugrand, congratulations to her. Vincent Lewis is our semi-final A winner, and we are in for semi-final B. Oh, he crashed, lost the front. Perio had nowhere to go. Rachel Clammer, she's done it. It's the Falcon wings, and everybody loves it. Hello and welcome to St Helier in Jersey. My name was Will McCloy, and alongside me and trying not to get blown away by this win, two-time Hawaii Ironman world champion Chris McCormack and world number 3 Georgia Taylor-Brown. Macca, I'll start with you. I want to get the top line, if you like, the big picture on what Super League Triathlon is all about, and bracing with these conditions, that's a little bit of what it's all about.
Well, without question, Super League Triathlon is about bringing the world's best athletes together to race, and unfortunately conditions like this make us make changes. I sat in with the women today and told them about the course changes, eliminating the bike because of the conditions, and they were more fearful that they weren't going to get the opportunity to race. So that just says a lot about the athletes we're dealing with. They're the best in the world, and the show will go on.
Yeah, just to update you there, it is the Enduro today. It's meant to be a swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. There is no bike. It is simply too dangerous out there, so the call has been made. It will be an aquathon, swim, run, swim, run, swim, run, and it is for those championship points. Georgia, I know you'd love to compete, but for me, looking at this, maybe it's not a bad day to stay inside.
Yeah, I still will always rather be on the other side, and I'd rather be competing, but yeah, I just said to the girls before today, just stay safe out there, don't take too many risks, just enjoy it.
There's a good British contingent out there in the final. We had our semi-finals yesterday, eliminated a host of great athletes, so the cream of the crop have come through. We've got 2018 world champ Vicky Holland, who's having a much better outing. Sophie Colwell, who's our quicker swimmer. They'll be leading the British charge, and there's a host of other good athletes as well.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting today now they're taking that bike out. I think a lot of the girls in the race are definitely swim runners, so it's going to be a really close race, and it's just going to be who deals with these conditions the best.
That's absolutely right. In a swim run, it's very interesting. We'll look back at semi-final A, and after the slot draw randomly put the athletes in 2 different semi-finals, top 2, or the 2 we're really keeping an eye on, Cassandra Beaugrand and Katie Zafiris, were in both that heat, and the cream rose to the top, if you like. But on the last run, Cassandra Beaugrand, who was our best runner, there's no doubt about it, she accelerated away, and she earns the short shoot for today.
And she's our best transition athlete from yesterday's performance. She won the grey transitions jersey, which meant she was quickest through transition. But she set that race up in that first swim, and that may play in today's racing. Katie's opted to come a lot closer to her in today's swim, but it was a remarkable race yesterday. She set off the front. It was never really important.
That was the transition there where Beaugrand, who was in slot position 1, had less time to run with her bike, and that's when she really put the hammer down. And you'd be hard to bet against either Cassandra or Katie today. It's almost perhaps a race in 2, although Rachel Clammer, we'll see her in a minute, was great as well. But Cassandra and Katie, the 2 of them on screen, they look like, again, the gold standard in Super League racing in the women's.
Yeah, they are. I guess they are quite far ahead of the field, but obviously Rachel didn't get a chance to race them yesterday, so that's going to happen today. And I think it will be interesting to see how Rachel fares against them. Obviously Rachel's not as good a swimmer as Katie and Cassandra, but I think she's going to stick in there, and she'll definitely be there coming back off the run.
Yeah, Katie Zafiris, she does seem to be able to run. Like, it could be snowing and raining sideways, and she seems to have the same run. She doesn't look like she accelerates. Other people just look to drop off her, but if anyone's going to stay with her, it is Beaugrand, who is by far our quickest runner in Super League. She just looks like she's not even trying.
Yeah, it's a long leg. She just looks so relaxed. She's even in a gait, and with the big tailwind along the straight today, I think it plays a lot into her favour. But one of the athletes I did think yesterday that was really good on that swim run section was Vicky Holland, last year's world champion. I thought this was one of her best Super League performances, and I believe today these conditions she'd revel in it. She's as tough as nails, and she's one to look out for.
We can see the athletes setting up in the transition area. Of course, they've only had a few minutes to get their head around the fact that they won't be riding. Although they are relieved, it is hard to make those last-minute changes. We're going to see in a second Rachel Clammer winning in the second semi-final, and it looked like she really enjoyed herself out there. A little bit like Hayden Wilde in the men's, did the work early on in the race and then just victory lapped her way home. And that's good from Rachel, who's never won a Super League race. Granted, it is a semi-final, but she won in a dominant fashion.
Yeah, I think definitely you just have to enjoy it sometimes. And Rachel had such a lead as well, and Hayden also. So I think you just have to take in the crowds and enjoy the whole experience sometimes. And obviously today it's a little bit more serious. It's down to the final, so there'll be more focus. But I think no matter what, we all enjoy this.
We saw that big crash there from Elite Beto, and that held Leonie Perriot up, who's one of our contracted athletes, and she was eliminated yesterday. That was the only big moment, I suppose, although there are a couple of others as well on the bike, because we did have gusty conditions.
I think one of the big moments also was Emma Jeffcoat, who rode that whole bike leg with a flat tyre, if you recall. She was out of the water quick. She was able to nurse herself through the bike ride, which is full kudos to her because it's a very technical, tough course, and she was able to qualify for today's final. I spoke to her in the locker room. She's actually a little bit excited about this swim-run format.
Well, she would be. She was a blue jersey holder last year as being the quickest swimmer. So the fact that the swim is going to come so much more into this, position-wise, is going to play into her hands. Who else do you think will enjoy these conditions, Georgia? Except for yourself, obviously. You look like you're enjoying them very much.
Yeah, I love it out here. No, Katie's definitely going to enjoy this. I think Sophie, Vicky, obviously they're just really tough girls and they can have fun with it, and that's all that matters really. I think as long as they're enjoying it today, they're just going to get out there and have fun with what they're doing, and all the girls are in the same boat. They've all got to deal with these conditions.
I'm just having a look down through transition right now, and the crowd is jam-packed down there. I cannot believe, as an Australian, if there's one drop of rain, we're just going to watch it at home on TV, but the Jersey breed, they're a different breed, Macca.
Well, in Australia, if rain drops, the show stops. It's a completely different group of people here, though. I was walking out when we came here to the studio, and it was people are coming with their umbrellas. They're psyched. This is the biggest event on the island for the year, and they're not going to miss it for the world.
Putting the sun cream on and getting out amongst it here in Jersey. Let's have a look at the start list for the women's final, and each of these athletes has a chance at walking home today with $20,000 and the maximum amount of championship points. As a winner of semi-final A, Cassandra Beaugrand takes the short shoot. She was the quickest overall, and Rachel Clammer from B takes the short shoot as well. Katie Zafiris was in A, and she was the second quickest time. Good work from Sandra Daudet, our qualifier from Bali, who is the fourth quickest, from Vicky Holland, the 2018 world champion, and our super swimmer holds the top 4 swim times in Jersey ever, Sophie Colwell, again from Taylor Spivey. Olivia Matthias, I'll get your thoughts on her now, Georgia, as well, a young athlete based in Loughborough from the UK. She was so nervous yesterday before racing and came out and put herself in a final.
Yeah, Liv gets very nervous before races. You just have to guide her and make sure she's doing the right things, but she absolutely loved it, and afterwards she was definitely excited to get into the final. But she's an incredible swimmer. She's super strong on the bike, and her running's just going to get better. But no, I think she's definitely going to mix with the girls today, and she enjoys being in all these senior hyped up races.
Well, it's a big moment for her on the world stage here in front of the world, racing in what is very, very difficult conditions. We're going to head back down to Joe right now, and she's with Henry Schumann.
Yes, I'm very happy to have Henry with me, who's going to be braving the course with me today. Now, Henry, these athletes, they're all just walking around transition at the moment, very brave today, but how does it affect the mentality, the psychology, when your race formats change, the times push back, and so on?
It's a very difficult situation, but you know, the women, they are professionals, and they've been through some of the situations like this before, where they have had to change the course and the format. So they'll just be thinking about staying calm, focusing on what needs to be done. Right now it's quite cold, so they'll be thinking about staying warm, making sure they're warm before they jump in that water.
How much do you enjoy a race like this? Because it sort of blows everything out of the water, so to speak, and makes things fun, but it's also good practice, and it's part of triathlon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of it all. They're all in the same boat, and you know, it makes some memories, so they'll definitely think about this for time to come.
Okay, now you got all 4 blue jerseys last year. Now, let's talk about how the wind might affect the swimming and the running, because I come from a background of running. I know how much it will affect that. But how will it affect, for example, the swimming legs?
The swimming looks pretty sheltered. It's not affected too much. The only thing I can think of is that the temperature has dropped a little bit, so they might feel that cold a little bit more. On the running, I think the smaller athletes might struggle a little bit more. We can see Dode, Klammer, maybe Spavi. We'll struggle a little bit in the wind, but the bigger athletes, maybe like Zavaris, they might handle it a little bit better. So it will definitely be a race to see what happens.
And Zavaris, she is so strong mentally and physically. As much as it is Cassandra's favorite event, the run, Katie, might just pull through because of that inner strength.
Yeah, it's going to be strength versus speed, and Bogran has that speed. I think she's a very strong swimmer as well, so it's going to be a very tight duel between the two.
It's certainly going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much. Good to get the insights of Henry Schumann, of course, a fantastic swimmer. I'm just going to head over here and see if I can get a couple of athletes. Matt Hauser's over here. Matt, I know you're upset not to be racing, but today's a good day not to be racing.
Oh, mate, it is. I feel for the guys out there, especially the girls as well, missing out on that bike, but they're going to make the most of it. They're going to go out there like champions like they are and give it their best shot. So, yeah, hopefully they all stay upright and go well.
Plenty of Australian fans wondering why you weren't out there on the start line. Talk us through the last few days.
Yeah, unfortunately, after playing from Brisbane, I had a bit of a chest infection and trialled it out in the water in the swim. I just couldn't get hard and couldn't go hard or anything like that in the 100 metres. So anyway, we'll see.
Bit touch and go. Are you going to be back for Malta? It's 3 weeks till then.
I'll be back. Yeah.
You're mad, aren't you? I talked to you at lunchtime. You're upset about this.
Clenching the fists, mate. It's fuel in the belly. So I'll be back for Malta and try and shake things up for there.
All right, go back into the hospitality there, mate, and do your hair. We don't want you to get too windswept.
Well, mate. So yeah.
I have no doubt about that. I'll see if I can grab Summer Rappaport. Summer, if you don't mind just having a quick chat to us. A little bit of a neck injury, a niggle, and probably a good day not to race.
Yeah, it hurts not to be on the course today, but sometimes your body has a different idea. So here we are.
Was that something you were carrying in or something that happened in the last few days?
No, I woke up yesterday morning. I woke up before my alarm. I almost screamed in pain trying to shift positions, and it was just no go. We got a little bit of mobility back, but not enough to be able to start and to be able to have a safe race.
Well, every single time I wake up in the morning, I scream in pain. That's just what my life is. Now, you've got a couple of country women out there that you'll be backing in, of course, in Katie Zafiris, Taylor Spivey as well. How do you think they're going to cope with not only the change to the aquathon, but also this gusting wind?
It'll be interesting to watch. I mean, I don't think I've ever been anywhere this windy before. So it'll be interesting to see how people manage it with an aquathlon. I'm not sure who even has aquathlon experience, so it'll be fun to watch how it shakes out.
It will be fun to watch, absolutely. Now, I'm not sure what your rehab looks like, but can we expect to see you back in Malta in a few weeks?
Yeah, I should be fine in a few days. I think that I would have been able to start today if it were the qualifiers today, but maybe still not at my best, but just bad luck. So I'll be back for Malta. I'm looking forward to it. Super League's one of my favorite formats, and yeah.
We're looking forward to having you back. We now do aquathons as well. We do pretty much everything here. Enjoy.
Here we have a bike TT in Malta, so I guess it makes up for the aquathlon today.
Thank you very much, Summer, for your time. Get out of this win. Katie Zafiris, though, she is the American to beat. She is our reigning champion. She's had such a roller coaster over the last month or so. She had a big accident in the Tokyo test event and came back 2 weeks later and became world champion.
Broke my nose, got a couple stitches on my nose, got 23 stitches in my mouth, and then had just like impact to my shoulder and my leg. And that was about 16 days before our grand final, which I'd set myself up pretty well to be world champion. Except now doing this, and in the emotion of just crashing and everything, I was like, oh my gosh, did I just not only did I not qualify for the Olympics, which was a big goal, but now I might have just ruined my chances of being world champion. So to prepare myself physically and mentally for the Lausanne Grand Final was challenging, but luckily I know the face heals fast. I've tried it out a few times. So that I wasn't actually concerned about because you don't need your face to train. But I was more worried about my shoulder and my leg, which were scans were fine, except just a little bit. I went to go swim and I didn't really have much range of motion or anything. And then by the end of the week, I was training like normal. I was physically good to go. I felt confident in that way, but I was still just nervous because Lausanne was a technical course, and I just had to get my doubts, or not get them out of my mind. They were definitely there, but like, I guess kind of control them a bit and also be focused on like my strengths and confidence. So I ended up doing really well in the grand final and ended up winning the world championship, which was a very good way to end that part of my season.
How does that title feel finally after you've gone 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and now you've got it in the bank? You come here as a world champion, and that must be good.
It's really cool. Like, it's one of those titles that I really put on a pedestal of like other people, and to achieve it myself is definitely something that for the rest of my life I'll be super proud of.
Such a humble champion, Katie Zafiris, and a true pleasure to sit down and talk to about her World Championship. Let's have a look at the course. Of course, that green line is the bike. We won't be seeing that today, but it's about 120 metres out in the swim to the first buoy, and then a hard left-hand turn, about 70 across, and then back in. And they go up a very, very steep ramp there, which is that dotted line you can see before they turn around into transition. The run is the red line through transition and up what we call Thunder Alley before the left-hand turn. The turnaround, and then a nice technical bit up near the fan zone, which is that yellow box you can see there with the 2 hands up. I don't know how many people are braving the conditions there at the moment. The turn back around towards the marina is between some very tall buildings, so there's going to be a gusting wind through there and then back along the marina and into transition. That is the run. Of course, the bike is not going to be there, but there's a little bit of blue sky, Chris McCormack. Oh, it's gone. It was there and then it's gone.
It won't be there for long. There's storms coming in left, right and centre.
All right, our colour jerseys today were won yesterday. It's a bit of a king of the mountain type scenario in terms of a race within a race with points accumulated for our best splits in the first swim, bike and run. So they can be won in the swim and run today. At the moment from yesterday's racing, Sophie Colwell is our quickest swimmer. Katie Zafiris will be in the red for the run. Cassandra Beaugrand was the quickest through transition. And Luisa Baptista of Brazil is in the green with the fastest. Everyone else will be in yellow except for our youngest athlete in the field. We're down. It's nice now. Georgia and myself and Macca are in the commentary box. But Joe will be out there on the pontoon and braving the elements, trying to get some final thoughts from some of our athletes. Joe?
Indeed, these brave athletes are already lined up. They have just stripped down, getting ready, getting used to the conditions. It's slightly warmer out here now but obviously the wind is still there. Cassandra Beaugrand, who of course won semi-final yesterday. Cassandra, it's going to probably be something you enjoy today. Extra running, less biking. How are you feeling? Confident?
Yes.
Confident you can maybe make it a Beaugrand weekend?
I don't know.
We'll try our best. And alongside her, of course, Katie Zafiris, the world champion. Katie, you're a tough cookie. Are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the wind definitely adds a part that is going to make it hurt more, but there's also a tailwind section, so you got to use that too.
Do you enjoy a race like this?
Yeah, I've never done a aquathlon, so this was my first one.
Excellent. And then alongside her, Rachel Klammer, who also won yesterday, hoping to make a Klammer weekend out of it. I'll let the girls get ready as it's about a minute or so to go until the start of the race, and we'll let them get on with it. It's going to be an exciting round of 3 swims and 3 runs. Back to you.
Certainly is going to be exciting. Katie Zafiris never done an aquathlon before, so
it's the first one today. But that side of the pontoon has all the swim horsepower, and we saw yesterday Cassandra Beaugrand on that side set up her entire race. So it's definitely a quicker run to the swim buoy.
Let's have a look at the pontoon positions. Cassandra Beaugrand, Katie Zafiris next to each other. They were at opposite ends before. They're the only two that have ever won a day here in Jersey, so keep an eye out for them. Rachel Klammer, of course, won the semi-final B. Sandra Daudet is our qualifier, or one of our qualifiers has gotten through. Vicky Holland, Taylor Spivey, there's plenty of power there. But interesting that Emma Jeffcoat chose to be on the outside lane, which yesterday proved to be the slowest, because you can see on the left-hand side of your screen there, the buoy is closest to the inside. So Emma Jeffcoat is on the far side from that. But when you look at the swimmers here, maybe she's chosen to stay out of that congestion, Georgia, and just try and use her swim strength to go round.
Yeah, definitely. Emma is a super fast swimmer. She definitely gets out quite hard as well. You always see at the start of the races she's out the front. So I think she's probably picked the best line there today, and she knows that she's strong enough to get to that first buoy, and then she can go out the outside. Maybe a little bit extra swimming for her on the outside, but I think she'll deal with it well because she won't be held up in all the carnage around that first buoy.
She's got Moreira on her hip, and she thinks she can outswim Moreira over the first 50 metres and get that clear water and move across. I think it's a good choice for Emma.
Let's see if she can. They line up for the women's final. It's all on the line, and they are off. And look at Sophie Colwell in the middle. Always gets a fantastic start. She's already gets half a length on everybody.
Oh, she's the fastest off the start year on year, and we saw that yesterday again. And you know, I think she's the oh no, she's not. It's Bo Grant in the grey jersey, in the transition jersey, who again on that side has gapped them.
And there is Jeff Coate at the bottom of the screen, who's trying to come across and get in a decent position. But Bo Grant, just as she did, has taken the lead in this one, and right on her hip is Colwell, and that is Baptista as well. Alongside, behind Bo Grant, is the red of Katie Zafiris. Look for those two, but there's quite a nice bunch there of 4 or 5. And that's Jeff Coate, who's just trying to push her opponents across and get as far across to that buoy as she possibly can. But it is Colwell and Bo Grant early on.
Colwell's going to move up here, I think. I think Cassandra is comfortable in front. I think Colwell will run the wider line around the buoy, and she likes to lead, so she's going to push it. We saw it yesterday. I thought she ran magnificently yesterday compared to years past, where she hasn't had that confidence in her run, and she knows she's got this second swim, third swim to do, where she can open up with the swim power and showcase that blue jersey and potentially put herself on the podium.
That Brazilian there, that's actually Victoria Lopez, because Baptista is in the green jersey, so she's in mid-pack. But at the moment, it's Bo Grant and Colwell, and Bo Grant just pushing Colwell just a little bit wider. You can see the buoy there in the distance, so they've got to go around the end of that pontoon, and then about 70-odd metres, and it's starting to string out just a little bit here.
Katie had a much better line for the swim buoy. She was sitting 4th or 5th, had that inside run, and is now coming up on the inside of Cassandra in the grey jersey.
Yeah, you can see Vicky Holland next to Katie as well, so that's interesting because Vicky's been running really well, and she obviously had an amazing run yesterday, and I think she's ready to face those conditions today. We saw her warming up earlier, and she was just loving it.
Sophie Colwell and Cassandra Bo Grant head-to-head, neither choosing to sit on the other's hip at the moment. Bo Grant, we know her as a fantastic runner, but her swim has just improved out of sight.
She's across the board very strong. I remember seeing her as a 16-year-old in Hamburg in that mixed teams relay for the first time. I couldn't believe how quick this runner was in the water, and she's going from strength to strength. Now she's in the transition jersey. It's funny because we talk about Bo Grant's run strength, but yesterday Katie Zafiris in the red jersey, which is the runner's jersey, posted the fastest run time. So that makes things very interesting today. Katie a lot more tactically astute, sitting back off the feet of Cassandra and shadowing her for this first swim.
Heading back towards the ramp for the first time. They're going to get in and out of the water 3 times, so some of the smaller athletes will struggle with the cold getting back into the water multiple times, especially with this wind. 1.6 kilometre run, they will attack after this and then back into the water once again. Cassandra Bo Grant on the inside, Sophie Colwell alongside her. And when you know exactly how good Sophie Colwell is, this swim from Cassandra Bo Grant is excellent. Right behind them is Victoria Lopez, the 23-year-old, absolutely a swim star.
But when you see a bunch like this, you realise the pace isn't really on. When the pace is on, it tends to be a lot more single file.
All right, we'll head down to Jo. She's at the exit of the swim.
Yes, I'm just with Henry here. As these swimmers are getting out, they're still very bunched together, which is obviously tactical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking very tactical. Caldwell has managed to lead out the swim, but the real fight will be here at the end, where we've got Moria and Lopez, who are going to be going for that elimination at the end.
Okay, and we saw Zafiris having a little bit of trouble getting out of the water there, but she seems to be doing okay now. Back to you in the commentary.
Yeah, we saw in the background there, Katie Zafiris have a big slip and lose a whole bunch of places, and yes, the elimination is coming, Macca.
And this is the tough bit. Moreira on the button here. She has to have a quick transition, because last through transition across the dismount line will be eliminated from the race right now.
Across the mount line?
Across the mount line.
Across the mount line will be, so there's at the back there Baptista, who's quickest on the bike. Unfortunate for her, the bike's not getting included today. Moria, she'll know that this is happening, but At the front, though, it's Caldwell.
Morio's run without. No, who was that without bare feet in the green
She just put bare feet on. That was Baptista. She's just gone straight
She's
past.
opted to run barefoot.
She chose to go barefoot.
And our eliminated athlete is the under-23 world champion, Emily Morier, who probably should have elected to run barefoot, knowing that she was the last into transition. Her day is done.
We saw Leo Bergier do this in Singapore with the barefoot running. It's the first time we'd ever seen it, and now
he paid for it.
He paid for it to run barefoot for a mile.
That's got to be a mistake.
I think it is.
It's not a decision. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't choose to do that. I mean, it's not safe.
As you say, she's on the front.
I don't know whether that's a mistake from her or, yeah. But we'll see how she fares after this first leg.
That is amazing. Maybe the water's that cold she can't feel her feet at the moment, but she looks very, very comfortable in bare feet.
Feel it tonight, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, I guess, after an event. If you got the prize purse, deal with cut-up feet after.
I suppose so.
Yeah, it was great to see Rachel Clammer actually helping Katie out of the water there as well. That's what it's all about, Super League racing. We all help each other out, and we have fun.
So the swim cap staying on for Cassandra Beaugrand. Not worrying about that one at the moment. She does have the shoes on though. Swim cap off and shoes off for Louisa Baptista. Sophie Caldwell ahead of Vicky Holden, the two Brits together. Katie Zafiris in 5th position. Sandra Daudet and also Rachel Clammer and just about the rest of the field all deciding to keep the swim caps on. But at the moment, it's Cassandra Beaugrand rated as our #1 runner. Crunch the numbers thanks to Graham Atchison from Forecast Consultancy, and he says that Cassandra Beaugrand head and shoulders above everyone else when it comes to the run. I'll be very interested to see whether she does this on the second run, Louisa Baptista.
This is a 100% a choice she's made to do. She's very, very comfortable. She's sitting off Beaugrand, who's the best runner, as you said, on paper, in this field. She's got a quick transition without putting the shoes on, and we saw when Leo Bergier did this in Singapore, he really, really struggled, but she's very, very
Singapore, the world's cleanest place. Perfect roads. Here, cobblestones, all sorts of things. Things have been blowing on to the course as well. I'd be very interested to see how she's got 2 laps to do this.
Now, if you look at the wind, I was able to walk the course this morning. The wind is coming onto their left shoulder here off the marina, and when they make this left-hand turn into the run straight, it is gale force, and you'll see them line up, I think, one behind each other. But as Cassandra starts to pull away, but this section here, right in your face, very, very tough running.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if Cassandra decides to take the short shoot at all now, and Rachel as well.
It looks like they're running into a brick wall at the moment. It's even making Cassandra Beaugrand look like she's struggling on the run, and that's when you know that it really is blowing hard. So congratulations to everyone who's worked really hard since 4 o'clock this morning to make the course into what it is. It was a bit of a wreck this morning. Zafiris leads the rest of the pack from Sandra Daudet, who continues to impress. Vicky Holland and Rachel Clammer also within the 10 seconds.
Big tailwind now, so that'll be interesting to see how they use that headwind and tailwind as the later runs come, because as you make that turn where you see that short shoot sign and that tailwind opens up, that gap will open as people are pushing the headwind.
All right, as it stands, Beaugrand, Baptista, Zafiris, Daudet, Holland, Clammer, Sophie Caldwell, Taylor Spivey of America, who featured so heavily in a couple of rounds last year, Carolina Routier, Victoria Lopez, Olivia Matthias in front of a home crowd, Anna Maria Mazzetti, Emma Jeffcoat, and Yuko Takahashi is 10 seconds back. So at the end of this run, we're probably going to wave goodbye to Yuko Takahashi if she can't catch up to Emma Jeffcoat, who has had a tough time on the first part of this run, considering that she was in good position or reasonable position from the swim.
Yeah, the girls probably don't want to let Cassandra get too much time on them now, because as we just saw, she's led the swim out and she's just going to keep pulling more and more time away from them, so they should try to get closer contact.
And Katie Zafiris will know that she needs to get past Louisa Baptista and start cutting back in to this lead. There's 3 dead turns on this course, so everyone can get a bit of a look at where everyone else is. Already Sophie Caldwell's getting ready to put the swim cap back on.
Vicky Holland's putting her swim cap on now. She's right up in front. And Rachel Clammer, who's just sat in that group protecting herself from the wind, is in a very good spot. It's Katie Zafiris who has to close the gap. We saw in yesterday's race she was able to do that in this second swim. But to me, it looks like Cassandra is opening up on this run leg.
She is putting time. It's got to be more than 5 seconds now. She's put into the field. There is Zefiris behind. She's gotten past Baptista, and she needs to track down Cassandra Beaugrand because she knows that Cassandra has the short shoot and she does not. Rachel Clemmer is the other one with the short shoot at the moment. There's Vicky Holland going past the screen. She looked like she was digging pretty deep at that point. From Taylor Spivey, Sophie Caldwell, Anna Maria Mazzetti, and there is Victoria Lopez, who has had a tough run after a very, very good swim as well.
It was the first time I saw Louisa Baptista's face on that turn when she was with the group there, and it's finally starting to sting whether that decision to not wear shoes is starting to bite now. It looked like she wasn't comfortable at all.
Coming into transition is Cassandra Beaugrand, so we'll head back down to Joan.
So strong there. It's so interesting to see that Louisa Baptista chose to run barefoot. She has fallen back, so what do you think that did with her?
Yeah, I think she just really wanted to get out there as quick as she can, maybe save her shoes for later in the race, but I think it's going to hurt her feet towards the end of this race.
Absolutely. I mean, she does seem to have lost a little bit of ground, but then now she goes down to the swim. Well, after the running, she goes down to the swim, and it might save her a little bit of time there, perhaps.
Yeah, she definitely had the quickest transition, so she went from being about 6th to 2nd again.
Okay, well, one more lap on this run. Back to you.
She's certainly going to put some points into the grey jersey for quickest transition.
It's amazing. It's a very, very interesting decision. It's something we actually talked about in the offices at Super League, whether any athlete would opt to do that. And Yuko Takahashi, you see, has been eliminated, which is I was quite surprised about that, to be honest.
She had a bit of an accident yesterday, Yuko Takahashi. She hasn't had a happy weekend. One of our contracted athletes. So disappointing for Yuko. She's very, very good in the heat. She was great in Singapore, but not so good here. Asian Games gold medalist from 2018. Hasn't had her best year in 2019. And into the water goes Louisa Baptista. Zefiris, Clemmer, Dode, and Vicky Holland.
So this is the hard part now, having to run back down and back into the water. It's always a little bit of a shock getting back in and swimming hard again. But yeah, I think the girls are in groups now, so they can work together.
Sophie Colwell needs to lead her group up towards the front. She's already seen, what is that now, 20 seconds. So she needs a big, big swim. But at the front, all by herself, and with no one to drag her back, is Cassandra Beaugrand. There is Zefiris, taking a bit of a wider line.
I say Cassandra's probably in the hardest position right now. Obviously, when you're behind, you've got people to chase, so it pushes you on a bit more. Cassandra's got quite a tough position out front now, and she just needs to stay focused and get in a rhythm, and I think she'll hopefully she might pull more time away from them on the run.
Emma Jeffcoat 33 seconds back, last into the water. Again, she'll need to really utilise this swim, because by the time we get out, someone's going to get eliminated at the top of that ramp. Victoria Lopez, Carolina Routier. So there's, in those bottom three, there's two noted swimmers, and Lopez is a swim star in her own right, the 23-year-old. Finished 4th in the Tokyo test, and she had a super quick bike split in that one, but she's a noted swimmer.
Jeffcoat's let herself a lot to do. It's a difficult position to be in, giving anyone 8 seconds. You have someone to chase, but 8 seconds over 300 metres, it's going to pull for a big hard swim and a big transition.
And if she does manage to make it through, what kind of run legs is she going to have, having to go deep into the red on the swim, as Zefiris turns the buoy at about just before the midpoint. Yeah, she needs to as well. Katie Zefiris.
Seeing her going to single file there, Rachel Clemmer on her feet. It's single file means the pace is on, and she needs to really close down to Cassandra and hope that Cassandra is sort of taking a bit of a breath. We saw this in yesterday's semi-final, these two together, and it was here that Katie was able to close that gap in the water.
Yeah, it's a really good swim from Rachel Clemmer, actually. She's not known for swimming, I guess, but this is a great swim, and she's hanging in there, and I think she's going to be tough to beat.
Jeffcoat's got to be halfway through that 8-second gap. We saw from that shot at the back, it can be a little deceiving in terms of the perspective of that shot, but it looked like about 4 seconds. As Cassandra Beaugrand returns for home, and there is the gap back to Katie Zefiris and Rachel Clemmer. Beautiful swimming stroke though on Beaugrand. She's just one of those athletes that doesn't look like they're trying too hard at any point, but always has the pace. A little bit like a young Georgia Taylor Brown in some ways.
Yeah, not sure about that. Yeah, it's great to watch Cassandra, but you always think she's not trying at all, and we're trying so hard. But she has such a nice swim stroke, and I guess she managed to conserve a lot of energy there because it's so efficient, and she has such an efficient run style as well.
Just sighting there probably once every 10 or 12 strokes, which, I mean, on a course like this, you don't have to worry about it too much. How often would you have a look at where you're up to if you're at the front of this race?
I guess on this race, you probably want to sight fairly often to make sure you're actually heading, because the ramp isn't that wide, so you want to make sure you're heading in the right direction. Usually for me, I'm on feet, so I basically just follow the bubbles. Yeah, it's usually Taylor Spivey's feet that I'm following. But yeah, you want to sight quite often, and you just kind of, in a race, you get into the habit of sighting every 3-4 strokes, basically.
Yeah. She had a good run there, and out she goes. Now, last time up onto the ramp, Katie Zafiris had a big slip. This time she's not in that group, so she gets the hand out.
Yeah. Vicky Holland's in here. I saw Vicky right here, great swimming.
Yeah, that is a good swim from Holland.
Taylor
She's ahead of Spivey. Also coming out of the water there is Sandra Daudet. There is Sophie Caldwell and Carolina Routier.
They close the gap
in the white.
So I think Baptiste is possibly going to be pulled out here. Depends if she takes the trainers, she might be eliminated. But if she goes without the trainers again, it could be between her and Emma Jeffcoat.
She might have to. So we'll see if we can get up on Instagram a photo of Louisa Baptiste's feet if they're a bit busted up a little bit later on. So make sure you tune into our social channels. There's plenty of content being pushed out all the time for behind the scenes. But at the front right now, it's Cassandra Beaugrand.
See if she goes without feet. She was second into the water and almost last out. So she
absolutely has to. If she does it now, that's an error. Clammer comes out ahead of Zafiris. Holland tucked in behind.
I can see her in the back of the green. She's gone.
She's going to go straight through.
She's safe.
So it's Anna Mazzetti.
Who's going to get caught out? One of 3 athletes left. Jeffcoat gets out over the line. Daudet gets out over the line. Routier gets out as well. And it's Mazzetti who is unlucky. Anna Maria Mazzetti. She's had a great end to the year. 7th in Lausanne, 10th in Hamburg as well. And 10th in the Tokyo test. The Italian.
What an interesting decision to make. It's saved her twice now. She's going backwards in the swim. She wasn't confident with the swim, but she's able to use that transition with the elimination line to stay in this race.
Yeah, I think she'll know that she's not a strong swimmer. So I guess she's made that great decision to go without the trainers, and it's put her back in the race every time.
We'll find out if it's a great decision this afternoon. We'll look at her. She's probably done for the season, but at least she has.
But in respect to this, yes, 100%. But at the moment, last time we were here on the run, of course, this is the second run of 3. It was about 8 seconds, and now it's pushed out to 13 seconds on Zafiris, and of course the short shoot in her favour as well, Cassandra Beaugrand, which is probably about a 3-second gap, maybe more, depending if you're a good runner. Clammer pushes up on the inside shoulder of Zafiris, and that group of 3 there is, well, the resumes of those 3 athletes are just about second to none. Spivey by herself, Victoria Lopez. On the back there is Sophie Caldwell, Olivia Mattia, Sandra Daudet, Louisa Baptiste in the green. And Emma Jeffcoat behind Carolina Routier, and really needing to get a hustle on, and she's not going to be eliminated.
Rachel Clammer, as you said in that last swim, to be able to tag Katie Zafiris in that swim, something, Rachel is a great all-rounder, but when Katie's putting the hammer down in the swim, we have seen in races past that Rachel Clammer has been dropped from the swim, but she's really shadowing Katie and using it to get through, sitting off her feet in the swim, using it through the headwinds on this run course. And it's a lot shorter race. Katie Zafiris is always coming into strength as they come through these races, with the event only being a little over 35-40 minutes now. Rachel could move past them and move up on. I don't know whether she'll move up on Beaugrand, but she could take out that group of 3.
Well, it's very important in terms of championship points and the standings going in. If you're going to find a weak spot for Katie Zafiris, who by her own admission has never done an aquathon, you need to turn the screws as much as you possibly can. Let's head back down to Joe as they come through transition.
Yeah, they are coming through transition again, and Cassandra has obviously built up quite the lead here. It's going to be interesting to see whether Katie, it's going to be all about this swim, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Cassandra is really pushing the pace and really extending her lead. This race is for her to lose. Katie Zafiris looks like she's hanging in tough. Clammer is looking really good with Holland. It's going to be quite a race for second and third.
But it's still pretty windy down here, so Cassandra actually doing a lot of work out there up in front while the other girls get to tuck in.
I think it's it's quite clever. I think it's quite good for her to stay out in front, control the pace, and she can just really run at her own pace.
Okay, a lot of extra work for Cassandra, but worth the trouble. Back to you.
Plenty of work going on there at the back. Lovely shot as Cassandra Beaugrand comes up through Thunder Alley. Looks like she's doing it easily. And yeah, just a reminder at the top of your screen that both Beaugrand and Clammer, as winners of their semi-finals yesterday, have the shortcut available, the short shoot. I'm just wondering right now, and there is Emma Jeffcoat. She knows she's at the back. I suppose she needs to do a reverse Baptista and just run straight through transition and dive in with the shoes on.
That'd be a smart move. And she has the swim
it's the only move that is going to stop her from being eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she is quite far behind now, so, I mean, why not just go for it and see what happens? This is Super League, so anything can happen, really, and we've seen all the different approaches, so I'd quite like to see Emma Jeffcoat get in there with her shoes on and see how that ends up.
Okay, so here's my question to you. If you know you're going to be eliminated and you run into transition, everyone's in that, you know that's the only way you're going to do it. If you're smart enough, you have to do it. Now, if she goes into the water with the shoes on and her shoes come off, kicks them off in the water, she gets out, she does the rest of the thing with no shoes, does she get disqualified for that? Never happened before in the history of triathlon. What happens?
That'd be another one of those headaches that we'd have to deal with after the event.
You're the one that makes up the rules.
No, we have the technical official Tomo that does all the rules. So I'd blame it on him.
He enforces the rules.
He enforces the rules.
I don't think there is a rule for that. We're going to find out. There's Carolina Routier. She is second last, and she's going to need to do some work to catch onto the back of this group.
She's got a big swim, so if she can stay close enough, she could swim back onto the group. It's Emma's in a lot of problems now.
Emma, keep your shoes on.
Yeah.
I know you can't hear us, but run straight through and dive in with your shoes on.
It's actually great to see Carol Routier back in there. Obviously, she had a bad crash last year, and that put her out for a long time. So it's great to see her back in, and I know she's just enjoying it now, and she just enjoys being around triathlon.
We're talking about things that are happening mid-pack and at the back of the pack, because at the front, Cassandra Beaugrand. We talk about Katie Zafiris being that consistent athlete that looks the same no matter what the conditions, but right now it looks like we're seeing an absolute carbon copy replay of the first swim run in the second for Cassandra Beaugrand.
This is impressive from Cassandra. She's taken it out from the start. She's not looked back once, actually, which is a thing that I probably do quite a bit. But she's not looked back. She's stayed focused. She's looking ahead. She's just getting the job done. She knows now it's one more time round. Yeah, and like we said, she's still got the short shoe available, but I don't think anyone's catching her now.
Look at Vicky Holland. She's starting to get assertive now. She knows it's coming down the business end. Rachel Clammer has that short shoot up her sleeve to have over Katie Zafiris. So it's a big swim for Rachel and a huge swim from Vicky Holland, because Vicky has a big dynamite sprint finish.
Yeah, great transition from them all there. They got the shoes off in one swift movement.
Looking at the back of the pack as that top three, or that second group of three, do the turn. There's quite a big gap back to Jeffcoat. That's Routier, and there's Jeffcoat. Come on, Emma, run through.
What she does.
Run through. I don't think it's going to make any difference.
I think she's smiling now.
Yeah, I think she knows.
We'll see. Maybe she heard you in the box here.
Louise Baptista again survived that run. Survived that run in bare feet. Quick transition. Now big swim needed from Caroline Routier to get onto that group in front and sort out the elimination in this last one.
There you go. Emma Jeffcoat, who has been such a fantastic addition to our championship season, gets the dry robe on immediately after those conditions and tries to stay as warm as possible, but just didn't quite have the pace. Meanwhile, Cassandra Beaugrand's doing a little victory lap on the swim.
her own.
Yeah. She's looked magnificent. She's just looked even throughout this entire event. It was where I was expecting Katie to make a move on that second aquathon through. It didn't really happen, and I think that the benefactors of Katie's attackingness to move across to Cassandra has been Rachel Clammer and Vicky Holland, who've been able to shadow her and benefit from that pace.
Bit of a gap here between Clammer on one side and Zafiris, and behind her Holland on the other, as they battle for what are going to be very, very important championship points. We're going to head right down now to Joe, who's with Emma Jeffcoat.
Emma, you've had a tough weekend here, but great effort at least. Unfortunately, you just got pulled out there. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, I just got pulled out on that second last run, so I got a similar run to go. Fortunately, I think I would have liked a bike, although it's crazy out there. you know, I prefer the normal triathlon discipline, but yeah, caught up some ground on that last swim, but unfortunately didn't have the legs to stick it in for the last round.
And how does it feel when you're out there running? How is that wind to take on?
Oh my God, coming around those corners, it feels like you literally hit a brick wall, and especially when the gusts come through, it's like it stops in your tracks. So I guess being at the tail end for a little bit there didn't help me out. I couldn't really shelter behind anyone, and yeah, a bit of a tough day, but I'm glad after yesterday that I made it into the final.
Well done for the effort you put in this weekend. Let's go cheer on the girls.
Definitely, thank you.
Congratulations to Emma for making it into the final. It's been a tough weekend all round, and these three that are behind Cassandra Beaugrand are attempting not to work together too much.
Katie's put the hammer down. She knows that Rachel Klammer has the short shoot. She needs a bit of distance. Klammer's swimming for her life. Vicky Holland's going to sit off Rachel's feet and rely on her to close that gap to Katie, but I think Katie's going to have to really kick it in now.
Yeah, you can see Katie's a lot more focused now. It's the last time for her that she can make a move and try and get a gap on Rachel. She's going to have to really go for it up the ramp out the swim and hopefully get a bit of a gap because, it's 3 seconds maybe the short shoot will give you. So Katie is going to need that gap now.
3 seconds probably under normal conditions. When you've got to spend an extra 10 metres running into the brick wall of headwind, it might even be a little bit more. So Zafiris at the moment sandwiched between two athletes who've got at least 3 seconds in their pocket, and she knows that. She's the consummate professional. She's always thinking about what's happening around her, and she knows that Cassandra's probably disappeared in front of her, and she needs to make sure going into Malta that she doesn't let anyone in between her and Cassandra. If we think over the course of the season that those two are going to be the two championship contenders, 15 points on offer for the win, 14 points, and then all the way down to 1 for 15th place. But if she can defend,
if Cassandra wins this event and then goes on to defend in Malta, she'll get a bonus point, which puts her 2 points ahead of
anyone at the moment, depending on what happens. So
technically 3 points, because it'll be 2 points difference and plus the bonus point.
You think the biggest thing, Georgia, that Zafiris is thinking right now is, if I can't catch Cassandra, I need to make sure that I finish second. I need to hold off Rachel Klammer, because that's going to cost me another point. And we cannot be thinking that I can let Cassandra not only get 2 points in front, or 3 if Vicky Holland comes through, but also have the opportunity to go back-to-back and pick up a further one in Malta.
Yeah, I think Katie definitely knows now that Cassandra's so far ahead. It's going to be really hard to catch, especially when she does have a short shoot as well. So all she'll be thinking now is, I need a gap on Rachel, and I can't let her get too close to me. And she'll definitely be looking for second. I don't think she'll want any less than that.
Out of the water comes Katie Zafiris, and then
Klammer. Very close.
Yeah,
Katie really.
That was the sound of our commentary box nearly blowing over. We'll be carrying on. Zafiris at 19, Klammer 23, Holland 25, Max Spivey 28. So Taylor Spivey's pushed up and really trying to close that gap in late on.
Katie really pushed it off out of that swim exit to get that little gap on Rachel. You see Rachel trying to close that, because this is an important move. She's in the red jersey, Katie Zafiris, because she's the best runner. And I think young Rachel Klammer has been shadowing her to protect herself from that wind. She won't have that if that gap opens, and Zafiris is able to use this tailwind right now.
Yeah, so Katie's out. Katie can turn it around when she wants to, and now she knows it's the time that she has to go. She's got 2 laps running now, and I think she's going to give it everything she's got, finish the weekend off well.
Make that tailwind turn now and open up that gap.
At this point, I mean, now they're taking their swim caps off. They don't need them anymore. Do they just throw them to the side?
No.
They carry them around if you don't have to.
I don't know.
They've got to be in the swim box.
They have to be in the swim box. Okay. Tucked in or in the swim box. So both Rachel Klammer and Cassandra Beaugrand did not bother to take the short shoot the first time around.
Oh, and she's taking her shoes now with her. She knows she's going to be eliminated.
With her shoes.
She's having fun.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep running straight to the hotel. Don't want to have to go back and get the shoes.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of these conditions straight away. Luisa Baptista, the 25-year-old, the Pan Am Games champion.
Well, it's nice to see her. It's nice to see her running still. So hopefully everything's okay. But we'll check up on her later.
If it was anything like Leo Bergier in Singapore last year, I don't think he realised they hurt so much until about 20 minutes after the end of the race, when the adrenaline had stopped.
Yeah.
And then the blood started flowing properly.
Yeah, you get in the shower and it just burns.
What a big race from Cassandra Beaugrand. She hasn't been pushed all day, really. She sat there in that swim, in that opening swim, with a big start. She roared off. She beat Sophie Caldwell off the start, led the swim, opened up on that first run, and has just looked relaxed for the entire swim, run, swim, swim, run, swim, run, swim, run. It's been an amazing performance.
Let's get some insight into exactly the mindset of Luisa Baptista, who ran without a shoe. She's with Joe right now.
Well, Louisa, a valiant effort there. First of all, we've all been talking about your decision to leave your shoes behind. What was going through your mind the first time round?
Well, I think I came to Super League by the challenge, and I think that this weather changed a little bit my plans, and this was a big challenge. So I stopped, think what is the best solution, and I didn't have a great swim. So I thought, well, I have to be fast. Go as fast as you can, try to go with the strongest girls in the second swim, and let's see what I can do. I think I felt a little bit the pace, but I'm really happy by my decision. I could go almost to the end.
And how are your feet now after that?
It's a little bit painful, but it's okay.
Bit sore. Yeah. Well, congratulations. Really brave effort there. Well done.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Isn't it good?
That is awesome. That's what it's all about, is making decisions to keep yourself in the racing, and the dollars behind that are going to be something she's going to thank herself for. She was almost there till the end. So
I know, and there's a big step up in prize money. Everyone picks up something in this final, but every position gives you a little bit extra in the pocket, and probably some of that's going to be spent on band-aids and bandages.
She didn't even take the short shoot.
Didn't take the short shoot. She's forgotten about the short shoot.
Forgot to take the short shoot.
Didn't need to take it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we've got one more lap now, so I think she's...
Rachel will take it now, so let's see the difference here, because Katie has really put the hammer down on that lap, knowing that Rachel Klammer has this short shoot.
Rachel hasn't even taken the time to take off her swimming cap.
Pushing into this headwind. She'll dump the
She'll
short
take
shoot
the short
now.
shoot.
She is, so she's closer to Katie now, but yeah, I think she's getting there. She can be a little bit more determined, just be more motivated to jump on the back of Katie, and then whoever can get that sprint finish in.
Then we're going to see a good fight too between Vicky Holland and Taylor Spivey. There they are coming into focus with 800 metres left to go, and Vicky Holland finished 11th here last time out and came in as world champion. So there are a few people questioning that one, and herself included. Obviously wasn't happy with her performance last year, and she certainly put that right this year.
Oh, without question. You saw that yesterday. There was a lot more purpose to her racing. I think after you win a world title, you spend some time to soak that up and take it in. She came a few weeks later and raced here, and there was a lot more purpose in her racing yesterday.
Cassandra doesn't give very much away. She's so focused, she's so composed. She's like that before races as well. You don't know how she's feeling. She just keeps herself to herself, and obviously today's worked out well for her. She's stayed so focused, and I'm really impressed how she's raced.
Doesn't give much away at all. Doesn't give much away in an interview. Doesn't give much away. Just runs her own race. Stays. You know, she doesn't mix a lot with a lot of the other athletes. Some of the French athletes, you always see a group of them always together. They're obviously very close, and you know they're all the members of the same mixed team relay team that sweeps all before them on a regular basis. And she's certainly doing that today, and we're halfway, I guess, to that French domination we talked about as we were getting blown away out there in the transition in the pre-show, with Vincent Lewis looking like the favourite, or definitely the favourite, to take out the men's race. We're still not sure, Macca, of the format of the men's race. We're still waiting to see what the wind does, but it's not dying down much, so it could well be the same. And there is the battle for second and third, Zefiris and Klammer, and Zefiris has negated that short shoot advantage as Klammer came in a little bit.
They were running into the headwind there. You saw the desperation on Rachel just behind Katie to close that gap. As they take that right-hand turn, the wind is sort of off your left shoulder, and I think it's very, very difficult to close it down from there.
How about Cassandra Beau-Grant? She was fantastic last year. She has just had a great weekend, was dominant in her semi-final, saw off Katie Zefiris, our reigning champion and then comes out with a change in the format and does exactly the same. And it's not often that Katie Zefiris is trying to chase somebody down, but that has certainly been the case. Hasn't been able to do the job. Zefiris has switched off. She's taken the shoot again.
She doesn't need it.
I don't need it.
Didn't need to take it.
In our faces.
And there is the smile. She's been the top three in every Enduro. She won the Enduro in Singapore. It was changed to an aquathon here. It has made no difference. And Cassandra Beau-Grant has picked up $20,000 and is your new women's championship leader with a top 15 points. Zefiris comes through on the sprint and takes second position. Well done to our reigning champion, and Rachel Klammer takes third overall. She'll be happy with that. And there's a big race on behind her for fourth position. The sprint finish between Spivey and Holland, and I cannot pick it. I think Holland's got it.
Possibly Holland.
Vicky Holland's got it. They were glued to each other for the last 800 metres, but in front of a home crowd, Vicky Holland gets it. That makes you happy, doesn't it?
I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, no, that was good to see Vicky, and they're pushing all the way into the end, and that's not what you want after the end of that. But no, look at all the girls. They love it, and it's great to see Sophie's still in there, and we still got Olivia in there, so it's amazing to see those girls cross the line.
Two French women in the top 6, Sandra Daudet, a couple of Brits as well, as Colwell joins Holland, and there is Olivia Matthias. And we said it before, she was so nervous before racing with the calibre of these women, and yet she comes across the line in 8th, and congratulations to her, Olivia Matthias.
Yeah, she fully gets involved in it, and she gets nervous, but she loves it, and she hasn't been running as much because she's had a little injury, so I think off the back of that under-23 world silver medal, she's just got more and more confidence, and yeah, we take care of her.
Well, doesn't look like she needs much taken care of now, and across the line comes Victoria Lopez, the second of the Brazilians, a 23-year-old who is dealing with these conditions. Probably you could live in Brazil for 300 years and never come across conditions like this.
It is cold, and those dry sits have come in handy. You see all the athletes pulling them on, and
it's windy.
It's very windy.
It's cold. Trees.
It's windy. Good insight there from Georgia Taylor-Brown. It's windy.
But
extremely windy.
Look at all the people that are watching. It's great. They're still out there, and they still love it.
Yeah, we saw that in 2017 as well. Absolutely pouring down, and it didn't matter to the locals of Jersey. We're going to head down to Jo right now, who we've continuing to force out there in the conditions, as she's with our winner.
Well, Cassandra, congratulations. You looked so comfortable. Did you enjoy that?
Sorry, yes, I really enjoyed, but it was very cold today, and I think it was better with swim and run.
How was it to be on your own, taking on the winds and holding off your rival Katie?
The third time it was very difficult, but at the beginning it was good.
And you're still only 22 years old. It's so exciting. Exciting for us to watch you. How exciting to think about what you will do next in the sport.
Yeah, I think it's a good format for me because it's very speedy, and I think it's better for me, yeah.
And now you get to take the pink jersey. Are you excited to defend that in Malta?
Yeah, really. And with a good weather.
We promise you some better weather in Malta. Congratulations, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Cassandra Beaugrand, who is our championship leader. She will pick up the pink jersey for Malta, and she has not only done that, but she's really laid down a marker for what is required of an athlete now to win a race here in Super League 2019.
Without question, and it's actually the first time the pink jersey has been taken off Katie Safari's shoulders, so it's very interesting.
That's right,
yes,
it is.
First time ever.
Here are the results. In the end, it was 12 seconds. No, what am I doing there? 8 seconds.
Your math. That's what you're doing.
Is your terrible.
Math.
The great Jill Clamour was third from Holland and Spivey, who both finished on a 34-12. We think Vicky Holland got that one. Important in terms of championship points. Congratulations to Sandra Daudet as well, who finishes 6th from Sophie Colwell, Olivia Matthias, Caroline Laroutier and Victoria Lopez round out your top 10. But a good split across, and what is that, a minute and a half across our top 10. And that's what happens even in an aquathon when you have that kind of headwind blowing around. He splits the field up. So 90 seconds between our top 10. Of course, we lost 5 of our athletes eliminated, and I'm not sure whether that played out exactly how we thought. Cassandra was absolutely dominant. We're going to head back down now, and we'll get the thoughts of Katie Zafira. She's better placed than us to tell us what it was like down there. Jo?
Yes, Katie, congratulations for second place. I know it was a tough day for you, especially without the bike. How did you find that? How are you feeling?
Yeah, it was super difficult. I set myself up well in the first swim, but coming out on the ramp, I just kept slipping and ended up being probably almost last out of the water by the end of it. But I'm proud of how I fought for it. Cassandra's a really hard person to chase down, and as I was trying to chase her down, I was trying not to get chased down by the others.
And of course, you had 2 short shoots going against you, Rachel and Cassandra. You managed, obviously, to hold on to second. Are you pleased with your efforts?
Oh, yeah, I'm super pleased. I mean, that was was such a hard race to do, and I'm proud of how we were all able to adapt to the different race scenario, and I thought it was still an amazing race.
You did have a moment of slipping out of the first water. How much did that affect you?
Oh, well, it affected me quite a bit, I think, just because I was never able to connect to start with. But, I mean, that's what happens. You can't, there's no room for mistakes, and I had some slow transitions and a bad ramp, so got to be better for the next one.
Well, we know you love competing at Super League. You've competed in every one, a change in format, the unpredictability. What do you love about competing here so much?
Oh, I mean, I love that. I love the unpredictability of it. I love that it challenges me, and I think it makes us better as triathletes all around, and just the crowd and the atmosphere of all these races. It's a really fun one and a really supportive one.
And are you looking forward to the challenge of hunting down Cassandra in Malta?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. We are looking forward to seeing you there. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Always a humble champion is Katie Zafiris, and always with a smile on her face no matter what's happened. Let's have a look back at this one, and Sophie Caldwell did what she does and got a great start, as did Cassandra Beaugrand, and these two kind of fought it out all the way through the first swim.
And here's the mishap she had in the just coming out of the water. She went from second right on Cassandra's feet all the way back to about 10th out of the water, and that was where she was dislodged from Cassandra, and this is where the gaps opened.
Yeah, it's definitely slippy getting out of that ramp, and especially when it's a big group, it's hard to get a hand and be pulled up. So yeah, I can see why Katie, how she managed to slip there.
Luisa Baptista, of course, ran with no shoes on. We know that was a deliberate action, and her bank account will thank her, if not for her feet when she gets into the shower a little bit later on. But Beaugrand dropped Baptista and was never headed again. It was a lonely race from her from then on, and you could see the trio fighting it out behind in Klammer, Zafiris and Holland, ahead of Spivey and Daudet. And that battle between Holland and Spivey was a good one as we came into the latter ends of this race. Didn't even need to take the short shoot, didn't even bother with, didn't even look at it. Cassandra Beaugrand during this one just was too focused. Rachel Klammer did though, and she managed to cut a little bit out of Zafiris' lead. It wouldn't be enough though, and in the end, Beaugrand won comfortably by 10 or so seconds, and she picks up $20,000 and 15 championship points, along with a pink jersey heading into Malta in 3 weeks' time. A strong finish, an unnecessarily strong finish there from Zafiris. Had no one around her, but enjoyed it regardless, as did Rachel Klammer, who was our semi-final winner yesterday. The race for fourth was fantastic, and just off the back of that great support here in terrible conditions from Holland, she pipped Spivey, and both of them collapsed. And by that stage, Beaugrand's heart rate was back at 50, so she didn't mind. She just watched it. She just watched it go past. She'd already finished 40 seconds before. Here are our championship points as they stand. The first points on the board for season 2019-20. And Cassandra Beaugrand is your leader from Zafiris, Klammer, Holland and Spivey. Sandra Daudet picks up 10 championship points from Sophie Caldwell, Olivia Matthias, Carolina Routier and Victoria Lopez are your top 10. And now we're going to head back down to Joe, who's found Rachel Klammer, who picks up 13 championship points and a third and a podium to start off her championship series.
I have found Rachel trying to keep warm here. Well, Rachel, it's been a great weekend for you. A third place amongst some of the best women in the world. Are you pleased with your performance?
Yes, definitely. It's been a little bit windy today, which was actually quite fun. Unfortunately, we didn't get to ride, but it was very dangerous. Like, even on the run, you could feel like the wind was pumping. So
you were catching Katie, especially on that last run. What was going through your mind there?
I'm getting so close, but not close enough. Towards the end, my calf started cramping up a little bit, so I looked behind where Vicky was, and I was like, okay, Vicky's clear, but now I want to try to get to Katie. But I knew she was so strong, but I'm very happy with my third place.
And such a different type of race today. What did you learn from today that might help you with future triathlons?
Yeah, definitely. I was a little bit skeptical about it because of the swim. We had to, there was obviously not more swimming, but because the bike wasn't there, it was even more important to have a good swim. And that swimming was definitely my weakest point last year, so I've decided to change some things. But that was only like 2.5 weeks ago, so I was a little bit scared that it would not work out at all. But I think I learned a couple of things in the last 2 weeks, which I could try to focus on during the race today. And I knew my running has been really strong this year, so I thought, okay, I need to be able to get back with the girls on the run.
And a great chance to practice that in the wind. And looking ahead, what's next? I know we're looking forward to Malta. Will we see you there?
Yeah, definitely. Malta's the next and last race of the season. So I'm looking forward to prepare for that. It's definitely easier now. I've had a good race.
Excellent. Well, congratulations, and we'll see you out there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, great effort from Rachel Clammer. It's interesting that even at her stage in her career, she can say, I learned a couple of things that I implemented on the swim. So, and you can see she's the 12th fastest swimmer overall last year. She had her worst swims in Jersey of anywhere in the cold, and yet she comes out, she puts together in an aquathon a third place. So whatever she's learned, it's working.
Well, Georgia said that, didn't you? She seemed to swim outside her skin in this race. She was tagging Katie Zaferis when we saw it last year, where Katie would actually swim away from her. So whatever she's learnt in those 2.5 weeks, she's applied, and it worked wonders.
Whatever she's learned in the last 2.5 weeks, she needs to tell me.
Yeah, and me. No, I think Rachel's just come to her strengths throughout the year, and she's definitely improved each race that's come. So yeah, it's good to see Rachel out there, and she seems so happy now that she's racing and racing well.
Yeah, she's here without Richard Murray, who, if you're just joining us, you're wondering where Richard Murray and Henry Schoeman, the South Africans, are. Henry's joining us in commentary a little later on because he's a little under the weather and has been since the Tokyo Test event, and Richard Murray the same.
I'm sure Richard's watching right now. He would have tuned in to see how Rachel was going, and Rich, maybe you shouldn't come because she's the good luck charm is you not being here.
No, come on, mate.
Come on, Rich.
Okay. We need you.
We need you back, Rich.
Especially in Malta, where you had a win last year in one of those races, and Rachel is fantastic up in the mountains of Malta as well. So yeah, she's going to be one to watch.
Definitely.
Without question, that course really suits her style of racing. She was magnificent on the bike yesterday. I think everything's firing for Rachel Clammer at the moment.
All right, we're going to head back down to Joe right now, and we'll just speak about Henry Schoeman. He's with Joe along with Graham Atchison.
Okay, yes, I've got Henry and Graham with me. I mean, that was quite a race, wasn't it? Obviously, a very different sort of race. Your thoughts, what are your initial impressions so far? Cassandra, she is just getting stronger and stronger at 22.
Yes, as expected, she's in a class of her own. But what was quite interesting is that how some of the athletes were opting to not run in their running shoes and saving themselves from that elimination. Baptista, her feet look really sore right now, but she saved herself and was able to carry on through the race.
Yeah, and I had a chat with Baptista afterwards. She said it really was a tactical decision. She knows that Super League is often about the tactics. Those choices can be the difference between getting eliminated or not. Smart decision, don't you think?
Yeah, very smart, very tactical. That's what Super League is about.
Excellent. Now, Graham, we had those predictions. How did they measure up with the end results?
Yeah, it was broadly as expected. I think, as you mentioned in the previous interview, removing the bike does remove that element of unpredictability. But Grant's running is just too strong really there, and she took it out from the first swim, and after that it was game over.
But it was interesting to see a number of the girls, well, Rachel and Cassandra, didn't take the short chute. So Katie was actually making up that ground as it went along, wasn't she?
I thought they took the short chute in the last lap actually, but Cassandra was too far ahead. I mean, she didn't need to use it, so I think it was actually she was too far ahead.
And they missed it occasionally. Now, Henry, we've obviously got the boys coming up shortly. What are your thoughts on how this windy conditions might affect them?
Yeah, I think the men might handle it a little bit better. I feel like the wind is dropping just slightly, but it's still very gusty out there. It's going to be very tactical, I reckon. Hayden Wild is going to have to work very hard on his swim. Vincent Louis, I think, is going to have one on the rest. It's going to be an exciting race between the strong swimmers.
Okay, well, we are certainly looking forward to that. It's definitely still windy, maybe a little bit less. We'll have to see how the boys will do. Back to you, Will.
It is time now for our women's podium presentation. We have three extremely cold podium winners in Katie Zaferis, Rachel Clammer and Cassandra Beaugrand. And so it is time now for the first podium presentation of the season, the women's aquathon enduro here in Jersey.
Ladies and gentlemen, the presentation for the RBC Super League Triathlon Jersey Pro Women's Race. Please welcome the athletes to the podium. The trophies and checks will be presented by Jenny Stafford of Jersey Triathlon Club and David Bailey, COO of RBC Wealth Management. In third place, representing Netherlands, Rachel Claimer. Representing United States of America, Katie Zafiris. And in first place, your RBC Super League Triathlon Jersey champion, representing France, Cassandra Beaugrand. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for our winners.
The champagne spray is still in the air and heading somewhere to the far south of Jersey, as is probably a couple of those big checks as well. But some worthy winners, and congratulations to Cassandra Beaugrand, to Katie Zafiris, and to Rachel Claimer, who held on for third. Macca, they really braved those conditions and made it look a lot easier than what it was.
Without question, I don't know what was harder, them trying to hold the big checks on the podium there, or the actual event. But it was a very, very tough day. Cassandra Beaugrand again just showing her class and set that up in that first race, with Katie having those problems in the swim, and was really, really unchallenged from that point on.
Yeah, she's really laid down a marker, Cassandra Beaugrand, for this time. I mean, we see already in the short history of Super League Triathlon, young athletes take each race and just improve, and Cassandra Beaugrand is certainly one of those.
Yeah, and it just shows these short races how important the transitions are, and just the smallest things like the swim exit for Katie cost her the race today. But yeah, the younger athletes, they have so much more energy, and Cassandra gave everything she has today.
Absolutely right, and Rachel Claimer is another one who seems to have just really hit a purple patch in form.
She said that in her interview. She tried a few different things, and we saw that in the swim, and her run's spectacular. I thought yesterday she was best on the bike, so I think we're going to see a lot of that progress in Malta. It is really cold. I never realised how cold it was. So am I. And full credit to the women getting out there and braving these conditions. There was a lot of talk before it about whether we should ride. It would have been impossible. So it was full credit to them for getting out there.
And just an update on the men's race. It looks like we're going to have the same format.
You couldn't ride in this. There's no way.
It's too dangerous. There's no point in risking it. And I think, they're just going to have to get on with it no matter what now.
All right, we're going to head back to the Jersey presentation, because Cassandra Beaugrand is about to wear pink for the very first time, and Katie Zafiris is going to have to watch on. So we'll head back right now.
Women's competition being presented with the pink jersey as the 2019 Super League Triathlon Series leader is France's Cassandra Beaugrand. The jersey will be presented by Chief Operations Officer of RBC Wealth Management, David Bailey. And Jersey, one more time, your appreciation for our Super League Triathlon Series leader in the pink jersey that she will carry through to Malta in 3 weeks' time, Cassandra Beaugrand.
And there you go, Cassandra Bogran is your championship leader. She picks up 15 points and $20,000 US. We hope you've enjoyed it out here today. I hope you've enjoyed it sitting at home in the nice warm weather. Macca, we're looking forward to not too long now till the men's.
Not too long till the men's race. It'll be very, very interesting again, and I can't wait to see it get underway. It's going to be a very different dynamic than what we're expecting.
Georgia, thank you so much for joining us as well. We've run out of time. We have to leave you there for now, but make sure you tune in for our men's race. It's going to take place at 4 p.m. British summertime. I say summertime very, very loosely, but we'll be back with some great racing not too long now. There is just one race left at Super League Triathlon Jersey, and it is a very big one. The men's final. The top 15 are going to be braving what are incredibly difficult conditions. I'm not even walking voluntarily. I'm just getting pushed by 50-mile-an-hour winds down the finishing chute, and it is very, very difficult. But these guys, they are the absolute best in the world, and one of them will cross this finishing line as our championship leader before we head to Malta in 3 weeks' time. Hopefully by now you're seeing a nice shot of St Helier, 5 miles off the coast of Normandy right now, and I'm just going to run up here and I'm going to keep talking and I'm going to arrive at Macca. Yeah, cool. All right, cool. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just trying to get Tyler a jacket. Joe, you'll see Tyler down there? Yeah. You're going to be with him, yeah? There is just one race left at Super League Triathlon Jersey, the first round of the Championship Series, but it is a big one. It is the men's final, the top 15 triathletes in the world taking on this course. And I can tell you what they're really taking on is the conditions. I'm not even really walking, I'm just getting pushed by 50-mile-an-hour winds, and whoever can deal with that the best, well, one of them's going to cross this finish line first. And I can tell you, when they do, they will 100% have earned the right to call themselves the championship leader. There's no doubt whatsoever. They will wear the pink jersey and pick up $20,000 US for their troubles, and there will be plenty of troubles out there. It is gusting incredibly hard down here on the transition area, and there are areas of this course here in Jersey which are even more difficult to contend with than that. We have made a change in the format. It was the Enduro swim bike run ×3. It is now a swim run ×4. As I stand here, my name Will McCloy alongside Chris McCormack, who is the co-founder of Super League, and Henry Schumann, who is the Commonwealth Games gold medalist from 2018 and finished second overall in our championship standings last year. Unfortunately injured. Macca, I'll start with you. I see you got the dry robe on. Thanks very much for letting me know about that.
We took them straight out of the athlete locker rooms. You'd be crazy not to have one. So
they look beautiful.
A lot warmer. You're seeing a lot of the athletes pull these on after the race. Very warm indeed.
They're not very flattering on your figure, but you know, whatever's important to you at this point. Difficult conditions. We say that it's more than difficult. It's probably the most difficult conditions I've ever seen for a triathlon, or now an aquathon.
It's ridiculous how windy it is. It's very, very cold, and I think they, as we saw in the women's race, that coldness is coming through in those latter stages where some of the smaller athletes are really starting to struggle with it. In this men's race, I expect to see the same. I feel the temperature's dropped a lot. It's going to be a very, very tough format indeed.
Henry, I mean, a lot of the athletes, I've interviewed them in the last few hours and said, you know, good day to not race, but for you, as our best swimmer out there and who is no slouch on the run with a 2:59 average, if you don't mind, it would have been great for you.
Yeah, I would have loved it. You know, swimming is my strong point. Running is really good for me, and I think I would have loved it out here. Like, I love a challenge, even though that the weather is miserable. You know, a race is a race. Everyone's in the same boat, so it's going to be interesting to see who really stands out today.
That shot you're seeing right now in Jersey, I mean, there's not enough flapping around. You really don't get a sense of exactly how windy it is and how gusty it is as well, especially at the top end of the course. There's a tree.
A little bit, yes.
You can get it there, but they're also the great people of Jersey who, for this is a normal summer's day for them, so they're absolutely fine. There's not many people in the fan zone though at the moment, and fair enough too. We look back a little bit at the women's race and how it played out. Cassandra Beaugrand, we picked her early on. She's a fantastic swimmer. There she was at the left of your screen, led out in the swim alongside Sophie Caldwell. And about 2 or 3 legs into this race, when Katie Zafiris, who's there in the red, slipped on the exit out of the water, that was when Cassandra really put the hammer down.
Well, they're the little things that we saw in the women's race that will play dividends in the men's race. It was these little problems that allow gaps to open up. Katie was dislodged from Cassandra, and she was never headed at that point on. Cassandra didn't even use the short chute to go on and dominate the day's racing.
Yeah, she didn't even need the short chute. She had the shortcut. She was so far ahead it didn't matter. Luisa Baptista, you saw her there. You're not seeing things if you saw that she didn't have any shoes on. She decided it would have been smarter through transition to not bother putting her shoes on. What do you think of that call, Henry?
Yeah, no, I think it was really smart and tactical. I mean, she kept saving herself from elimination twice. So, yeah, but she really hurt her feet at the end. But, you know, it's Super League. It's you got to innovate and try new things.
Well, that's right. And she picked up, would have been a big jump in prize money by just getting through those transitions. So plenty of money for bandages and Band-Aids.
Well, funnily enough, I sat with a lot of the men after the women's race in the locker room, and they were talking about whether that was a disqualifiable offence. It's not. They're now talking, listening to what we said in the women's race, and some of them are potentially considering wearing those shoes into the swim. So who knows what that type of decision makes, and we may see some evolution of transitions for Super League racing.
Well, that's what Super League Triathlon is all about, forcing people to evolve, and we saw that exact thing happen with Hayden Wild, who won our semi-final yesterday, and we're going to see some highlights of him in a second as we see Rachel Klammer coming across the line in 3rd position, and a well-earned it was too. He was taking his shoes off on the run so he didn't have to stop, and the young athletes and the athletes that are happy to do things a little bit outside of their comfort zone, we're certainly seeing them benefit, and Cassandra Beaugrand is one of them who just seems to be getting better and better. Let's have a look at the Championship Series standings, and this is what happened after that round. Cassandra Beaugrand takes the maximum points. She also has a chance, if she wins in Malta in 3 weeks' time, to take a bonus point on top of that. Zafiris knew she couldn't let anyone get in between her and Beaugrand. She made a good effort at the back end to overtake Rachel Klammer, Vicky Holland, Taylor Spivey. Those two, Holland and Spivey, finished on the exact same time after a sprint finish, but Holland just edged her in front of a home crowd. But Olivia Mathias, I want to pull out her as a great result from the young Brit, Henry. How it's so good to see young athletes like that come through.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great experience for her. She's scored a lot of good points there, you know, racing the best in the field. And she's going to take this forward, just like Hayden Wild did last year. And I think we can expect more from her.
Now, I know it's not your favourite topic, but let's talk about the guy that just bested you in the championship last year, Vincent Lewis. He won semi-final A. He's almost unstoppable. He's the new world champion, having won that in Lausanne a couple of weeks ago. He's certainly the force to be reckoned with in all formats of short or Olympic distance triathlon at the moment, and he had a bit of a victory lap yesterday in semi-final A.
Yeah, I think we haven't seen anything yet. I think he's going to be opening up full gas today, so that will be really exciting to see how he plays tactically, and I mean, he's one of the best tacticians out there, so it will be really exciting to watch that.
But we spoke to him, didn't we? In the locker room, he said, "Oh, it was easy. I didn't even get in the big gear." we asked him about Hayden Wild, what it was going to be like. He said, "Oh, relax, it's easy going." So I think you're right, Henry. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting to see him put the throttle down today.
Let's talk about the Falcon, Hayden Wild. I almost feel like he's the adopted son of Super League. He really announced himself in a big way, and there you can see him taking his shoes off as he ran along the way yesterday. But he ended up with the fastest man, in fact, the fastest person around this course yesterday. He had a breakthrough last year, and this is another breakthrough for him.
Oh, without question. And yesterday he set it up on the bike, and today's a very, very different format with the bike being cancelled. I'm eager to see whether he can stay in this event with the eliminations happening at the back, his swim being his weakness. He's coming off with a lot of confidence. He just seems to go from strength to strength. I think I'm going to call him as an outsider to do something pretty special today.
Plenty of strange and wonderful things going on down here in transition. You don't see that very often, but congratulations to the kids of Jersey who are putting on a bit of a gymnastics cheerleading presentation. That's so good. And out here on course today throughout the course of the men's race and indeed the women's race as well, that's some flexibility, is Jo Ankier, and she's watching along with Tyler Mislachuk.
We are. We've been dancing away over here, trying to keep warm. Very impressed. These girls are very brave. I'm with Tyler here. Now, Tyler, you're not out there today. Are you secretly happy about that?
Nah, it stings, hey? Not by perfect weather, but it hurts not to be racing.
Okay, now I know you've been back with the athletes, so you've been hearing their thoughts on all these changes. Tell me, who's excited about the changes in format?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think they all pretend that they go with it, but we'll see when it comes down to racing. I think this favors some of the runners now. But again, you know, in the third or fourth swim, we're going to see some weaknesses pop out from the guys who aren't as strong there.
And of course, we saw in the women's race, the world champion Katie Severis get beat. Do you think seeing that might affect Vincent, for example?
I think he's a pretty strong individual, but you never know what's going on in the side of his head. I'm sure he's watching out Hayden Wild after his strong performance yesterday, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see the tactics. I think they might stay together later stage of the race here.
Okay, and now it was obviously a tough course yesterday. You found that, and today it will be probably even tougher in these wins. How might that affect the way the athletes decide to race?
Yeah, you're going to see on the run, you're going to see them bunch up. No one wants to run into the headwind, so some directions you're going to see it really string out and some really clump together. So it'll favor smart athletes today. We'll see what comes out from top.
Okay, thank you for your insight, Tyler. Back to you guys.
Tyler Mislachuk there, probably the biggest name men's athlete to not have made it through. It was a bit of a shock to see him. He had a bit of trouble with his front wheel slipping around, but a bit of a shock to see him not make it through to the final. That just shows you how strong Super League is in terms of its roster when you consider that it was only a few weeks ago that he won the Tokyo Test event ahead of the Olympics, which is something that every single athlete, well, most of them anyway, worth their salt, was at. And Tyler missing out there, so it stings for him, there's no doubt. This is the start list for the men's final and who was actually quick enough to make it through. And every single one of these athletes deserves to be there after big, big efforts yesterday. Hayden Wild and Vincent Lewis having won semi-final B and A respectively are your short shoot takers, so they get a little bit of a shortcut, about 3 seconds it's worth on any run that they choose to do it. Aaron Royal and Anthony Poujard were both faster yesterday than Lewis. They were in semi-final B. In fact, 9 of those athletes are from semi-final B, so 5 of the discretionary spots there, 4 of them went to semi-final B athletes. Jonathan Brownlee, Martin Barril, Gustav Eden, Christian Blumenfeld, Ben Canute, Mario Muller. Look at these names. In fact, Constantine Doherty, the Irishman I saw on Instagram this morning, said, "Come down and see me do a 300-metre swim time trial." I cannot wait for it. So he knows he's up against it. But look at that list, Henry. The only name that's missing from there is Henry Schumann.
Unfortunately. I would love to be racing.
How good is that list, though? Guys like Aidan Longcroft Harris, huge for him. He just scraped in. Pierre Lacour as well. There's quality athletes throughout.
Oh, well, that's Super League. It's the best in the world. And when you look at today's format and you look at the conditions, I tend to take my eyes towards those Norwegians. They were out here earlier this morning, and I saw Christian Blumenfeld, who will absolutely love this tailwind along this section. He has such good turnover. You saw him in the Lausanne Grand Final at WTS Series. He was so aggressive on the downhills. Yep. Gustav Eden yesterday struggled on the bike. There's no bike today. There's so many people in this race, so many men that could create an upset. So it's not Vincent Louis' race Vincent Louis' race to win, but he's definitely not the overwhelming favourite in my opinion.
All right, well, one name we haven't mentioned very much, and you can't really watch a triathlon. Are we going to talk about Johnny?
Johnny Brown.
We're going to talk about Johnny because he was out here on the bike before. Nobody else went out on their bike for a warm-up. Everyone was inside on the trainer. Johnny was out here like, this is a good day in Yorkshire.
It's not that windy.
It's not that windy. Why can't we get on the bike? So this is a guy who's hardy. He's also our most consistent athlete. He's the only athlete to never have been eliminated who raced every race last year. What about Johnny? That's my question, Henry. What about Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny is definitely in it. I think he's going to be the one to challenge Vincent Louis. He's a strong swimmer. He's a strong runner. So he loves this kind of weather. He grew up in it, and I think he's just in his element. So he's going to be one to look out for.
What do you think?
Well, he was running around the locker room saying, "You guys are weak. We should be riding a bike." So he has the right attitude for it. Leeds is like this in summer. So I do agree. It's one athlete we have not been talking about all week. He's come in under the radar. He was strong yesterday, and I just think he's an aquathon world champion, if I remember from the past. So he's one to look for.
Can I get your predictions quickly?
I think this is going to suit Blumenfeld. I think Johnny's going to be up there, and it's not going to be a runaway race win like we saw in the women's. And I think Vincent Louis may outkick them, but look for the Norwegians and Johnny to be right up there.
What about you, Henry?
He's always going to be there. But I do want to say maybe a dark horse with Martin van Riel.
Oh.
Yeah. So Martin van Riel finished second yesterday behind Vincent Lewis. The only one who to be able to bridge that gap across to him on the bike. He spent all his matches there, and he ended up finishing second. He's rooming with Aaron Royal, who finished second in his heat. So it's the number 2 room, whichever room they're in. I won't tell you. I know what room number they're in. I'm not going to tell you that in case you knock on the door. But Martin van Riel is a guy who told me yesterday he tried to put on a bit of bulk so he wasn't so cold. He's about 55 kilos. But he's a guy who he knows his Olympic slots in the bag. He's just enjoying his racing at the moment.
And he has such a huge swim. His swim's remarkable. And then with 4 swims today, he could be right there. And as we keep talking about, this headwind, being able to sit tight. We saw that with Rachel Clammer sitting off Katie Zaferis in the women's race and using them to nurse themselves through these first 2 swim, bike, run formats. I tend to agree the smaller athletes could have some advantage there. I just think that leg speed of Christian Blumenfeld is going to be amazing.
Okay, well, I hope so, because he certainly was good around here in terrible conditions 2 years ago. One quick thought from you, Henry, before we go, about the move from a 3 or 6 leg, if you like, aquathon to 8 legs. So it's going to be a 4th swim run. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit more endurance favored. So it's going to be speed and endurance towards the end. I do think this swim is going to get more and more difficult. That 4th swim is going to be extremely hard. You'll see some guys maybe cramping up in the water. It's just going to be crazy.
All right, we cannot wait for it. It is the men's final. It is the biggest race of the weekend in the toughest conditions of the weekend. We're going to see who can manage the conditions well, who rises to the top. It's the men's final. It's coming up very, very soon. Hello and welcome to St Helier in Jersey in the Channel Islands, just off the coast of France. And for today anyway, just about the gateway to hypothermia. 50 to 60 mile an hour winds are going to challenge our men's athletes as we line up for the men's final. 15 athletes in taking on what is going to be an aquathon of 8 legs. It's going to be very, very different to what we're used to in Super League, but it's going to be absolutely huge. There's been plenty of action already across the weekend, and it's ready to get things underway right now. Vincent Lewis is our semi-final A winner. Semi-final B, the last race of the day. It's the Falcon wings and everybody loves it. Welcome to Jersey in the Channel Islands, and welcome to an extremely windy aquathon to kick off the championship series for the men's final. My name is Will McCloy, alongside me Chris McCormack, two-time Ironman world champion and co-founder of Super League Triathlon, and Henry Schoeman, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, second in the championship standings last year, and absolutely itching to get out there. Unfortunately, he's got a little bit of illness, and even a little tiny bit would leave even the best of us behind in these conditions. There's no doubt about that. But we're about to see the men's final. The women's final was outstanding. We saw a masterclass from Cassandra Beaugrand of France, doing it just across the water of her homeland. We might see that again this time, but whoever wins this one is going to be tough, is going to be consistent, and is going to brave these conditions.
And they're going to love cold weather, because the temperatures dropped probably 2 or 3 degrees since the women's event. It's going to be very, very tough indeed. The elimination of the bike in particular is going to bring some other athletes into play, but it's the 8 disciplines that are going to make this one very, very tough.
An aquathon for you, Henry. You're a great runner. You're a great swimmer. It would have been very tough to miss this one out. Of course, hopefully we'll see you back in Malta, but this is going to be a really, really interesting race, and it's going to be someone really hardy and really ready to do battle that's going to win it.
Yeah, you're going to have a really tough mental state going into this race. It's cold out there. You're going to be jumping into that water 4 times. That's going to really affect the smaller athletes, and it's going to be really tight. It's going to be a strong swimmer's swim run race. So yeah.
Let's have a look back at semi-final A. We had 2 semi-finals yesterday with a top 5 from each semi going through, and the next fastest 5 times overall making up our field. And in this one, there was so much talent, and Vincent Lewis really took this one by the scruff of the neck. There he is leading out of the swim. He would never be headed.
Well, they called this the Lotus semi-final. I remember when we did the slot draw, everyone thought this was going to be the stacked semi-final, and everyone was nervous to get through it. Vincent just set it up from the onset, opened up on the bike, and was never really headed.
That was the same in the men's and women's both semi-finals. We saw dominations by a single athlete in all 4 of those, and he certainly has been the quality athlete of 2019, if you like. He was crowned world champion a couple of weeks ago in Lausanne, needed a top 5 finish there after a really consistent WTS season, and he got it. And he really, really loves these short, sharp racing. And you guys had some fantastic battles, Henry, last year. You know just how strong this guy is.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a very strong athlete. He literally has no weakness. It's going to be his race to lose, but he's going to have some close competition. Like you can see with Martin van Riel, he had a great race yesterday. He's a strong swimmer. If he can have a really strong run out there today, we can expect him on the podium.
And Martin actually swum up to Vincent Louis in that second swim. So with the swim-run format, look for Martin to really push it in one of those second or third swims.
All right, as we're seeing this, come with me, Jordan. I'm going to see if I can go find someone to have a quick chat to. They're just getting announced right now, the athletes, and I'll go around behind here and see if I can find the 3-time world champion, Mario Mola. And Mario, we're live on air right now. How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, good. Well, a bit cold, but we'll try to do our best no matter what.
Yeah, are you ready to go? You've always got a smile on your face, and you always say you're ready to go, but these are challenging conditions, and now an 8-leg aquathon. How do you feel you're going to go with that?
Well, I hope endurance plays a bigger role now, and I'll try to stay close to the front and fight for it.
All right, fight for it. You're going to have to do that. Good luck, mate. Have good luck out there. In the pink beanie is Jonas Schomburg. Jonas, you've loved your time in Super League, but this one's going to test everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, first time I'm doing that, but I'm aquathlon world champion, so I'm looking forward to that.
First time with an aquathon, and it's 8 legs as well. How do you feel about that?
Going to be interesting, but I'm looking at fast swim, fast run. We'll see ya.
All right, thanks very much, Jonas. You've got to go out there and be announced. We're going to head down to Joe right now.
Okay, well, I'm with our analyst, Graham Aitchison, and I'm sure you've been having a lot of fun changing your predictions, changing them again. What have you found out? Shock us.
Yeah, removing the bike from this leg again, it's actually it changes the predictions quite a lot. You still got Vincent Louis out front, but we're probably going to see guys like Gustav Eden, Aaron Royal and Johnny Brownlee featuring more heavily at the last stages of the race.
Okay, and is that more because of the lack of the bike or because the race has become longer? Well, 8 legs.
It's the luck of the bike. Hayden Wilde, for example, and Christian Blumenfeld were guys who we thought we were going to see later on in the race, but the bike is their strength. We saw how good Hayden Wilde was riding here yesterday, so taking that advantage away from him is not playing to his favour.
Okay, and he also did push it quite hard yesterday. It'd be interesting to see how he does. Does the wind factor into your predictions?
No, not at the moment. It's something I'm looking at because the conditions here are absolutely dreadful, but at the moment it's just looking at absolute time.
Okay, it's been really interesting hearing how it all works. The stats don't lie. Back to you guys.
The strangest thing has just happened here, Joe. The sun has come out. I don't know how you're dealing with it, but we haven't seen it for 2 days, and there's this bright orb in the sky that I think is called the sun. Doesn't happen very often here in Jersey. Let's talk a little bit more about Vincent Lewis. He was so dominant yesterday, and as you said, he has a couple of gears up his sleeve. So Hayden Wild was 30 seconds quicker than anyone yesterday. He was in the other semi-final, and Vince just said, I don't mind about that. I have plenty in the tank.
I was cruising, he said.
That was my French accent, by the way.
I was absolutely cruising was his exact words. He said he shut it down in that second section of the semi-final, took that short shoot, and he says he has a lot more to go. But I think a lot of the other athletes do as well. I spoke to Christian Blumenfeld last night. He said he just struggled a little bit on the bike course, but he tends to warm up. I think Martin Van Riel with that big swim will do very well. Aaron Royal. Yep. This whole field is stacked.
All right, semi-final B, more specifically, Hayden Wild. It was a little bit of a victory lap for him the last stages of that one, and we're looking at the highlights of it right now. And Hayden is a guy that he said he had his breakthrough here last year. He had a sprint finish with Mario Mola, who we just spoke to, and at that stage Mario was the world champion, and that really gave him the belief. And then he comes here and has even more of a breakthrough by just dominating and controlling this race with a 20-second win in the end from Aaron Royal.
Yeah, he actually had a very tactical race yesterday. I think it was quite smart of him to make the move on the bike, and he had a really easier run to come into the finish. So he might have some fresh legs for today, and that might really help him.
He really seemed to have the bike on rails. We just saw that, and he's out on the run there. But he's got great bike handling skills, former mountain biker, Xterra World Junior Champion twice, and he really used that to his advantage and used all the course.
And he just sort of gathered momentum as he got out in the front. He really enjoyed it out there. He was by far superior than most on the bike and really capitalised on that. And once he got in front that first run, he just sort of fed off that, had a fantastic second swim. We always talk about Hayden's weakness being the swim. He was right there, as Henry said in the commentary yesterday, and from there he's never headed.
If Hayden's weakness is indeed the swim, he's got to swim 4 times today. I mean, at some point if he's in a straight shootout with Vincent, which we hope is not the case, but if it is, at some point do you think Vincent with his swim's going to be able to break Hayden?
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting duel, I think. Vincent knows that his swim is a lot stronger than Hayden Wild, so Hayden will have his work cut out for him in the swim for sure, and we'll definitely see how he fares up over the 4th swim.
Okay, so if you're wondering why his arms were flapping around there, he's called the Falcon, Hayden Wild, and it's a moniker that we gave him at some point during last season.
The Maltese Falcon.
The Maltese Falcon.
Yeah.
And he's really put that on board. In fact, he's been flapping his arms at every race since then, even if he doesn't win, just flapping his way around. He's certainly a guy that enjoys his short, sharp racing, and also he's taken his form from Super League last year and taken it into the WTS season.
He's had a magnificent season. Honestly, he's just gone from strength to strength, and you just can feel the momentum of Hayden Wild really starting to build. And it's the perfect time to build with the Olympics around the corner. He's got that strong New Zealand team he's a part of. He's such a great personality. And I'm going to go one thing. If Vincent Louis doesn't get rid of Hayden Wild, I would hate to be in a sprint finish with Hayden Wild. He's beat Mario Mola here before. He beat Johnny Brownlee before. And he's the kind of guy who'll back himself to win the thing.
Well, Henry, you've been on the back end of a Vincent Louis sprint finish, so there's nothing wrong with that one either, is it?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's one of the best in the sport. He's got a really powerful sprint. He's a strong athlete, so, I mean, he is one of the best out there. So if you come second to him, it's not the end of the world.
How about the fact that we're getting through this? We're not talking about names like Christian Blumenfeld, 70.3 champion Gustav Eden. We haven't really mentioned Mario Mola. We haven't talked about the Olympic silver medalist Johnny Brownlee. There is just so much talent. Let's have a look at the start list for the men's final, and all 15 of these athletes will pick up at least some championship points. Wild and Lewis will have the short shoot. Aaron Royal and Anthony Poujard both had a quicker time in semi-final B than the world champ Lewis. Behind him, Jonathan Brownlee, Martin Van Riel, the Belgian who's been in fantastic form, finished second yesterday in his heat. Gustav Eden just coming off a world championship in half Ironman 2 weeks ago. Christian Blumenfeld, Ben Canute, who's been huge in Super League, and the 3-time champ Mario Mola as well. And even looking down there, Jonas Schomburg, Leo Berger, they are big names. And I mentioned it before in the pre-show as well. Constantine Doherty said on Instagram, just come and watch me have a 300-metre swim time trial tomorrow. He's looked at that list and gone, oh, wow, that is tough.
Because that's the one thing we do have to talk about. What didn't happen yesterday in the semi-finals is the elimination per discipline.
Yep.
It's the last person out of the transition area across that mountain line each time will be eliminated from the race. So that plays a very, very different sort of play game for those athletes that are struggling or have any problems.
If you didn't see the women's race, Luisa Baptista was coming a bit late into transition and thought, I might get eliminated here. And instead of taking her putting her shoes on as she went out on the run because the elimination is at the mount line, so you get the time in transition as well. She just ran straight through and then did the run without any shoes on. Do you think we're going to see more things like that, Henry, in this race?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, I think if you get some athletes that are trailing towards the back, they're just going to grab their shoes and maybe just put on their shoes after that mount line. So it's a race to that mount line, essentially.
Yeah, pick the shoes up and take them over the mount line. What about if you're getting into the water and you don't have time to take your shoes off? Will we see anyone swim with their shoes on?
I really doubt it. I think that'll just really slow you down. You'll get a
Well, I got to rate them up parade, Henry.
You could do it, Henry. You swim good enough to be able to handle that, but it'd be a crazy move.
It'd probably make it a bit fairer for everyone else if you swim with your shoes on, actually. I feel like I swim with my shoes on usually. Now, let's get a couple of predictions, and hopefully... Oh, there's Johnny Brownlee right there. We talked about him in the pre-show as well. He's a guy who revels in these conditions. This is just another Yorkshire day for him. He was out on his bike, just riding around the course. He's the only guy that rode around the course. Everyone else is on the trainers inside, but he's the only guy that was out there going, why can't we ride a bike?
He's as tough as nails, and he went in and called everybody soft. We could ride, but it was he's just one of those athletes. He's never been eliminated from any Super League event, so he's the only athlete in this field to have never been eliminated. And with so many eliminations happening today, he's one athlete that we're not really talking about enough. And when it comes to big occasions, he always revels.
Yeah, just to clear that up, every time through transition, and that's going to be, 7 transitions and 8 legs, someone is going to get cut from this race. So there's only going to be 8 who finish this race, and it's going to be a straight shootout at the back end. And if anyone falls 90 seconds behind, I don't think that's going to happen. There'll be that elimination as well. So predictions. It's prediction time. We've got about 30 seconds before we come off air. What do you think, Henry? Who's going to win it?
Yeah, it's going to be a strong swimmer, and again, you can't count out Vincent Louis.
You're going to say the same thing, aren't you?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Christian Blumenfeld. I know it's potentially a crazy call, but this feels very Norwegian to me. It's icy, the tailwind. He's got such big leg speed. He's coming off a bit of a high, and I thought he struggled on the bike yesterday. With no bike, who knows what he can do?
Oh, I'm going to go with the Falcon just because I want to see the Falcon do well. Absolutely, 100%. We're going to, right now, though, get a bit more of an insight into the great man, the reigning champion here, the world champion as well. There's nothing that Vincent Lewis hasn't done in 2019.
Winning Super League last year was a big achievement in my career, and coming here as the reigning champion is like super cool. I don't feel the pressure. I just want to set the pace. I want to make the others suffer. And I mean, racing last year, I can remember who suffered when, and I will use it this year.
You won both days in Jersey last year. What is it about the Jersey course that suits you? It's quite a unique course, and what do you like about it?
I think Jersey really suits me. It's like flat course. I'm a bit bigger than the other boys, and it's really technical. I got good bike skills. Even though if it's raining this weekend, I'm really looking forward to it because I got like good skills under the rain. I train under the rain, so I'm happy with that. And yeah, the crowd is just amazing here, and I really like it. That was the start of my Super League strike, and yeah, happy to be back again.
What is Super League to you?
Super League to me, before I raced it, was just a super cool thing you wanted to do, and I was out of it, so I just wanted to do like so bad at racing the Super League. And now that I raced it and I won it, it's just like, okay, that was really tough, but I want to go for it again. When you're racing all over the world, you're racing for your country, you stay in between French, it's between like Americans or Brits or whatever, but Super League, you're racing for yourself. You just have your friends and the people you don't like racing with you, so it's just a matter of ego and who's the best, and it's true racing, you can only count on yourself, and that's what I think is cool. And it's also just the principle of Super League. You just go in a city, you're acting for the city, you're meeting kids, like you're meeting the local tri club. You're just not, okay, I'm going there, I'm racing, I'm leaving. It's not this. You're just involved in all the organization and seeing the people around and trying to help them too. I think it's super nice.
We certainly do too, Vincent. It's fantastic having you on board, and the entire French contingent. It has been tough to overtake Vincent Lewis in 2019. Now with a different format, we'll see if he can cope well with that. There is a swim from the start. It's about 120 metres out to the first buoy, then a hard turn left, about 70 metres across and then back in. And that dotted line you can see there is an extremely steep ramp, which is almost like the fourth leg of this race, up and down, and they'll do that 7 times, which is going to be tough on the legs. The bike course is in green. Obviously, we're not using that today with the conditions as they are, but there's the run course in the red, and that's coming out of transition is Thunder Alley, we call it. It's extremely windy, and it's almost like running into a brick wall. We'll have a look at the jerseys because you're going to see different colours out there today, and this is what they represent. From yesterday's racing, the fastest swimmer was Vincent Lewis. The fastest in the red was Mario Mola. He had the best run. Hayden Wild was the best on the bike, and Aidan Longcroft Harris was the best through transition. That is from the first leg of each of those disciplines, and they took the points in those. And the points accumulate across the course of the season. And then overall, our best swim bike runner and transitioner will pick up $10,000, which is just another little race within a race, if you like. So there's plenty going on, and they'll be the colours if you want to follow those. We're going to head down right now to the pontoon and to Joe Ankia, who's going to take the chance to speak to some of our athletes.
Yes, the athletes have just been called to take their starting positions along the pontoon. They've been huddling, they've been keeping warm, they've been taking their shoes off though, you'll be glad to know. Of course, they all also seem rather relaxed. I think when things are thrown up in the air like this and the formats change, sometimes it actually relaxes things a little bit. Let's see who we can grab a quick word with. Hayden, the pre-chat served you well yesterday. How is the Falcon feeling ahead of this?
A bit nervous. I'm pretty keen for a bike leg. Obviously, there's not one here today, but for me, it's just a game of survival and see if I can make it to the last round. But yeah, I've got no expectations. Everyone knows my weakness is my swim, but if I can have some good swims and post some good runs, I'll be happy. But yeah, I'm just going out there for a bit of fun. My expectations are kind of have dropped a little bit since the bike league's gone, so I'm just going to go out there and have a bit of fun.
Well, enjoy it. The crowd will be with you, and we'll see you out there. And alongside next to him is Aaron Royal, who had a storming competition yesterday. Hoping for another Royal finish today?
Yeah, sure. Super League throws out anything, and so we have to be prepared to adjust.
And how is it when you have to sort of change things at the last minute and take all this wind into consideration? Been a lot of changes today.
Yeah, just take it in your stride, I guess. You've got to expect things will change around here, and we woke up, we saw what the weather conditions were going to be like, and yeah, not much we can do about that.
And one man beside you who doesn't care if it's biking, if it's swimming, if it's running, if it's windy. Lewis, are you ready for this, Vincent?
Yeah, I mean, when coming to Super League, you have to be ready for everything, so no bike, or no swim, or no run, or whatever, we're just here for racing, I mean.
Excellent. And Johnny, I know this is almost just like another day in Yorkshire for you, isn't it, these conditions?
Yeah, it's not been the best conditions, has it? But being a good athlete and being a good super athlete is dealing with the conditions, so it's still going to be hard, so we'll all give our best.
Thank you, and we wish you all the best of luck. We'll let them get off now. It's going to be a short, fast start.
There is the pontoon from the top, and we're going to see the exact pontoon positions in number 1, and we think that is the best spot is Hayden Wild. In fact, these guys, depending on their finishing position yesterday, got to pick their spots, and they've almost all picked the lowest number that they could, given the numbers that were left. So Hayden, then Royal, then Poujard, then Vincent Lewis, then Brownlee, then Van Riel, Eden, Blumenfeld, that's the order, basically, they finished yesterday, because that is the quickest way to the first point.
Without question, we saw it in the women's race, we saw it in the men's race. That inside line to that first swim buoy is very, very important. Hayden on the outside doesn't have that horsepower. If you looked in that middle section in 4 and 5 with Van Riel, Brownlee and Vincent Lewis right there, that's where the power of the swimming is going to come from.
Yeah, Hayden has actually in a very good position. He's on the inside, he's got the shortest line to the buoy, and he's on the shoulders of some very, very strong swimmers.
Yeah, he's really going to need to have a strong swim first up, because we've seen how often a poor start can end in a very, very short day's racing, and Hayden Wild knows he'll need to. He tried to talk down his chances, but he knows he'll need to have a big swim, and they get off cleanly as well, which is good to see. Not bad from Wild, who, as you say, is on the corner of some really good swimmers. In the middle there, in the blue jersey, that's Vincent Lewis. He wasn't the quickest swimmer yesterday. Aurelian Raphael was, but he didn't manage to qualify. And coming across there really quite well, I think, is that Jonas Schomburg? I think it probably is. Yeah, it is number 9, Schomburg, who's a noted swimmer as well. If he gets a good position, he can finish high, and that's a great start.
He's got a great start and moves straight into that inside line. So he's negated that position he had to do on the pontoon, and he's got the inside line to that first swim buoy. He's going to push them right across into those boats as they try and.
As you see right actually there. Someone had to sit up. Yeah. I think it looks like Van Riel who had to sit up.
Yeah, it looks like Vincent Lewis is a little bit boxed, and he's had like a few of the athlete swimming on his shoulders, maybe just making life a little bit difficult for himself. But he seems like he's moving up at the moment. We have Longcroft,
yeah,
really taking it out here in the early stages.
He was on the far right, so we just threw everything out we said at the start by being on the far right of that pontoon. He's now leading this race, so he stayed out of that trouble as Schomburg came across and they've been bunched, and he was able to have clear water and move straight across into the lead position. And the fact that they're going in the single file now, they're hammering. We didn't see this in the women's race. It was much more bunched.
Hayden Longcroft Harris, he only got in because he just finished outside the top 10 yesterday, and one of our juniors got through Simon Henselet, but he decided not to take the spot today for some reason. I can't say I agree with that, but that's what happened. Bit of washing machine around
and
there.
I think Johnny is a little bit further back than you would expect.
And Wild as well. And that's Gustav Eden at the very back, along with Constantine Doherty. So
Johnny's moved right there, third from the back. You see him moving past the green jersey of Hayden Wild. He got himself in a little bit of trouble off that start. And with that elimination happening in this transition area, he needs to move up and stay out of that trouble.
There's Johnny and the Falcon together.
Vincent Louis is actually moving up on the outside, so he's really using that swim strength of his, getting back into position and maybe score that swim jersey points again.
Saw Leo Bergier back there, Pierre Lecour. The right-hand side of the pontoon today for the men's race was by far superior. You had Lecour and Hayden Longcroft Harris who were sitting first and second, leading this swim.
Well, that ruins everything we said.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what can you do? Pierre Lecour, he came through as a qualifier from Bali, and Hayden Longcroft Harris came through as a qualifier in Ottawa, and the two of them are taking this one by the scruff of the neck. We know that Hayden Longcroft Harris is a good swimmer. We know he's good through transition because he's wearing the grey transition jersey. In fact, he was the quickest. That means he was the quickest from yesterday. We don't know whether he's got the stamina to hold on in what we've got here, but with 4 swims, he could be a bit of a dark horse in this one, Hayden Longcroft Harris. So two of our qualifiers leading some of the best triathletes in the world.
What you see with these young juniors or these younger athletes, they've come through this aquathon type racing, so it's usually the bike where they have to learn those skills that come with more and more time in the sport. But as a swim runner, these younger athletes can do some amazing things. Vincent Louis there, always there in the blue jersey. It's interesting, it's quite unique to see him in the blue jersey. We're so used to seeing him in the pink from last year, and you in the blue jersey, Henry.
Yeah. We'll head right down now. Sorry, Joe, we'll just interrupt and go head down to Joe and Tyler Mislachuk.
Yep, some quite unpredictable orders here, and the athletes at the back are going to be jostling for positions, aren't they?
Yeah, here we're going to see the real battle back here with the guys coming out, but French up front to be expected. Here's Mole up, actually pretty good position here. Hayden near the back, Brownlee, that's kind of unexpected.
Hayden and Brownlee just seem to have a little trouble getting out of the water, and now they've got the toughness of this ramp.
Yeah, Con is going to be hooking it up this ramp. He's going to be trying to get that last spot. We'll see. It'll be interesting following it.
Okay, back to you guys.
Constantine Doherty trying to get up the ramp ahead of one of the two Norwegians in Blumenfeld and Eden. You can see just coming into your shot there, Eden having a look behind him, and he knows that if he can have a decent transition. So Doherty here needs to run straight through without putting his shoes on, 100%.
So does Johnny Brownlee and Christian Blumenfeld, who I picked before the race. So it's Eden, Blumenfeld and Brownlee.
Blumenfeld's doing that. Blumenfeld hasn't got his shoes on, so he knows, and he's had a look.
And he's opted out. Look at that.
It's a bit of a risk to take.
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to be hurting his feet.
Brownlee, so Mola went past without putting his shoes on. Eden went past without putting his shoes on. And Johnny Brownlee has been eliminated.
Johnny Brownlee is gone.
Wow, that is huge. In the context of our season, he is going to pick up 1 championship point and then have to wait to see who shares the rest. And the crowd around here in Jersey are just shocked.
That is unbelievable.
The crowd is silent. Johnny Brownlee, Olympic silver medalist, has been eliminated.
The changes to the transition that were brought about in the women's race and implemented again in the men's race have cost Johnny Brownlee. He was 4th last out of the water. He is now out of the first time. We've talked about him never being eliminated in a stage of Super League racing. Well, that just changed right now.
Had nothing to do with his form or performance. It was just outsmarted.
A tactical exactly. Outsmarted and tactically outplayed.
Did Doherty come through without putting his shoes on?
I missed that.
Because I think if that's what happened, he effectively got Johnny eliminated because Johnny wasn't watching. In the meantime, it's 2 qualifiers up front still in Hayden Longcroft Harris and Pierre Lecour, ahead of Christian Blumenfeld, who came out in 13th and is now in 3rd.
I think Vincent Louis is actually just holding back a little bit. I think he's waiting for that 4th round. He knows it's going to be a longer race, and just conserving as much energy as possible, hanging in smart there, just in 5th position.
All right, before we keep going, let's go down to Jo. She's got Johnny Brownlee right now.
Yeah, I've got Johnny here. I think we're in a little bit of shock. Johnny, what happened?
I got absolutely beaten up in that swim. Hayden just beat me up the whole way around. I didn't do any swimming. And then I got pushed over in transition, so yeah, well, it is what it is.
Just one of those unlucky days. Was it the start, getting off of the pontoon?
Yeah, we're all just one of them where we all swam next to each other and just had a massive fight. There's nothing I could do.
And then, of course, some people choosing to not put on their shoes. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I knew I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to hurt my feet for next year, so for me it's all about staying safe.
Okay, well, you've done a brave thing by being out here. I know it wasn't, you weren't super well either. The crowd really enjoyed you being here. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we wave goodbye to Johnny Brownlee. We've honestly never had any section of a race that doesn't have Johnny Brownlee in it up until now.
And look at Blumenfeld with the bare feet. It's whether he opts to put the shoes on. See, the interesting thing now is whether athletes will opt to put the shoes on when it doesn't matter as much. So Christian has the shoes in transition. We saw them there. He opted not to wear them. He's got a mile to run without shoes. He can stay in the hunt. It's early days. He's right out of trouble with being eliminated, and he's right on the shadow of Vincent Louis.
Pierre LaCour is pushing the pace a little bit. I think he's thinking about trying to split up the group a little bit and use that second swim to maybe have a smaller group.
All right, Constantine Doherty did indeed not put his shoes on either, and he's going to need to do the whole thing without shoes if he's going to stay in contact. But every time he can get through transition without being eliminated, that's just a little bit more prize money and another championship point.
It looks like Doherty has also opted for the no-shoe option.
And Schomburg, who was so fast off the swim start, is now sitting in 14th position. He's our last man on course, and at the end of this run, he's gone.
I just don't think that Jonas Schomburg has got the best form coming into this. He was impressive. He has been impressive in many a Super League race, and he's had a reasonable season, but I just think at this stage of the season, he's probably not got quite the pace. He started to struggle midway through yesterday.
Yeah.
He is one of those athletes that I expected to just shoot out of transition. And, you know, he's a great start in the water, and he's also got one of the best transitions. So it's... and here's Vincent Louis. I think he's also just decided to start pushing the pace, maybe thin the guys out before they jump in the water again, because Christian Blumenfeld is holding on strong, and I'm sure he wants to try and get rid of him.
Well, if that's not a representation of how powerful French triathlon is right there, it's Vincent Louis. 3 and 5 and 6, sorry. You've got Leo Bergier there, number 6. So there's 4 French within the top 6 athletes.
This is dangerous times for everybody else, with Vincent Lewis at the front. He's already a good 20 seconds ahead of that group, but is this where he decides to put it down and break everyone up?
You can see Hayden Wild actually pushing up the pace. He's moving up, and I think he's trying to play a smart game here. He knows Vincent is trying to break him, and he knows that. He knows that he has to try and stick to Louis' feet and LaCour's feet in this water.
Look at Christian Blumenfeld with the bare feet. I was expecting, oh, look at that, was a bit of a surge. I was expecting Christian Blumenfeld with shoes on to potentially use his leg speed, because that was a big headwind there as you've got the wind blowing onto your left shoulder as the athletes run across here. It feels like a semi-tailwind. You can see them relax a little bit, and as they make this left-hand turn, they'll punch straight into a big headwind as they come into that straight. So you see,
they stop running.
Yeah, Christian Blumenfeld is trying to close that gap with no shoes on.
And Hayden Wild has bridged across to the 2 Frenchmen, and Blumenfeld is, well, he's got a mortgage on the pain cave, Christian Blumenfeld.
He's going to have a much quicker transition. His transition's going to be much quicker without shoes on.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And Hayden Wild decides not to do the old running, disappearing of the shoes. LaCour comes to this end, and
Blumenfeld's on them.
He is on them, but he hasn't managed to overtake any of the top 3, but they're bunched right up, and behind them, Leo Bergier. Then comes Aaron Royal, Mario Mola, Anthony Poujard, Ben Canute, and Aidan Longcroft-Harris. Constantine Doherty comes through, and it looks like it's going to be Van Riel, is it, who's going to get eliminated?
No, there's one behind.
Oh, is there one behind? No, you're right. Jonas Schomburg's there, so he knew he was safe too. He didn't look like he was hustling too hard. But coming down the ramp once again is Vincent Lewis with Pierre LaCour and Hayden Wild.
And Leo Bergier is close to be sitting in 4th. That's a good position to be in with Vincent on the front. Hayden Wild's in a great spot with you can see Leo Bergier who's just closed down. So that's a great 4 to be with.
So it's not like last year where we had racing on multiple days that accrued points. It is a straight shootout today in this Aquathon Enduro for all the championship points. Yesterday was just about, there it is, the elimination from Schomburg. He never looked comfortable, Jonas Schomburg, but it's a straight shootout for championship points, as I said, and Jonas Schomburg will not figure. In fact, he'll pick up 2 championship points as the second man eliminated. after Johnny Brownlee, which I'm still really getting over, to be honest.
I think we all are. We called earlier in the show that we thought Johnny Brownlee in these conditions would rebel, and he was, as Henry said, he was just tactically outplayed.
Yeah, and you can actually see Vincent Louis. He's actually pushing the first bit of this race really hard. He's kicking hard. I think he's trying to break Hayden Wild. He's trying to expose his weakness.
Hayden Wild in the green, who's following Pierre Lecour's feet with sheer desperation. Those swinging arms of Christian Blumenfeld, you can spot them anywhere. The straight right arm and that swinging left arm. You'd hate to be on the wrong side of that and get copped.
That's very true. Although I think it doesn't matter what arm he hit me with, it would hurt me.
Aaron Royal up there.
So 3 Frenchmen in the top 5 at the moment, with Bergier gapping Royal by 5 seconds now, well, at least when they went into the water.
And it's Martin Van Riel who has to have a big swim here, because he's a lot further back than I think he anticipated being, and probably got caught up in that fighting with Johnny Brownlee in that opening swim. He's got such a powerful swim in the second swim. We saw it yesterday in the semi-finals, and you see him at the back of the screen. He needs to close the gap.
Royal is trying to get past Blumenfeld there. He's having a really tough time, but he's managed to get around this boy, and he's going to have to try to get around Hayden Wild as well. And if he gets around, he's going to be stringing Hayden Wild closer to the front.
Mario Mola in the red runner's jersey with Aidan Longcroft Harris to his right. But there's a group of 3, and it's Hayden Wild in the green jersey who's led that group up, and as you said, it's Vincent Louis who applied the swim pressure, and Hayden's been shelled off the back of that small group of, it's 2 off the front.
It's just group of 2, and I think it's Lecour who is having the race of his life here. I mean, well, he's got a fantastic resume, but he's sitting in nicely with the world champion, and you're right, they've managed to shell Wild, and then Blumenfeld and Bergier is there as well, and there's Wild, who's flanked by the 2 of them. In fact, who is that closest to the screen? Aaron Royal, who got past, and then there's Blumenfeld behind.
He wants to get him off his hip, because Aaron wants to move forward. He knows the desperation of those 2 guys going off the front is very, very dangerous. Aaron's a fantastic swimmer with a big run. So,
yeah, he came second yesterday, and we spoke about maybe when someone's on your hip, the drag feeling of perhaps like a 25 or 30% slowdown effect. For those who aren't, used to open water swimming in a group, there's a huge sucking effect when you've got someone on your hip.
Yeah, and he just had Aaron Roy and Anthony Pajard coming on both sides of him, and I think that was actually just the worst for Hayden Wild. He got sucked back, and now he's really feeling that. He's lost a few positions, and Vincent Louis and Pierre Lecour are just moving further way ahead.
Yeah. But what tends to happen too, as you know, Henry, as the stronger swimmers move up on the weaker swimmer and take to make the pass, that weaker swimmer tends to drive straight onto that hip, and you saw Aaron Royal pull straight to the right off that last swim can to get Hayden Wild off his hip, get some clear water to try and chase these 2.
Effectively, they've now just crossed the 2-kilometre barrier in terms of this race total distance, and there is a huge spread across the field, and we've already got rid of 2 athletes, and this is really playing into the hands of Vincent Louis. He's got his countrymen alongside him. He's got no one now within 10-odd seconds because of the way they had to fight. This really, at this point, as 3 Frenchmen lead, it could not be better for Vincent Louis. We were hoping an extra swim run was going to hurt him, but it may not. Before I get your answer on that, we'll go back down to Joe.
Okay, yeah, some big decisions going on in this transition of which athletes are choosing to put on shoes, which aren't. Tyler, what do you think about all these shoe decisions?
I think it's a good choice to put on shoes. I think over 4 runs, you're going to see their feet fall apart. These 2 guys need to work together, and I'm sure into the wind, that'll be a big factor here.
But of course, it's without the biking that's making them decide, you go straight back in the water again. Christian Blumenfeld again, he has decided not to put on his shoes. Ben Canute, he's decided to. I mean, it's really all the rules and everything changing, but that's quickly.
He's a tough guy. We'll see how it holds up over 4, but he's looking good right now, and we'll see if he can bridge across these 2 front guys.
All the French working together at the front. Well, we'll turn it back to you guys.
I think that Christian Blumenfeld prefers to run without shoes because I think the pain keeps him focused.
He's just so tough.
He's so tough.
It's incredible. Like, there wasn't even a decision. He's got shoes sitting there in transition. He just went, nope, not doing it.
And from now on, I never run with shoes. Yeah. And there's Constantine Doherty, who he got more in than his Instagram said it would. He's got in 3, and I think that's an admirable effort when you look at the quality of the field in front of him.
The issue you have without shoes in relation to Christian Blumenfeld and these 2 on the front now is you can get into your rhythm now and you see the bounce. You use the shoe to feel comfortable. I can't even imagine how hard that ground is without that
your
sponge.
feet are freezing as well.
It's terrible. And I think, personally, even though they're saving some time in transition, if you had the option with Christian did then, I would have opted to take those shoes in this run.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he wasn't under pressure for elimination.
He came out third, did he not?
You've got a big group of runners behind these two that he could have used to move up. You had Hayden Wild there who opted to put shoes on, and he didn't need to do that. He could have saved it and potentially done the no-shoe option for the fourth leg.
He's only going to be hurting his feet for the third and fourth run. Personally, I would have put on my shoes. He had all the time in the world. And it's actually Pierre LaCour who's actually having a brilliant race right now. He's sticking to Louis. Louis is putting in a little bit of a surge there. And he's just managing to stick to him. I think Pierre LaCour is a little bit of a dark horse here.
Look, I mean, LaCour's a guy who has a strong swimming background before he moved to the USA for swimming back in 2006. And I mean, this guy's a European champion from 2018. I mean, he's got chops, absolutely, Pierre LaCour. And he's part of a generation of French athletes, of which there are so many great ones, that a guy like LaCour sometimes flies under the radar somewhat.
The depth in France is ridiculous, and they've done it generation after generation. Back when there was black and white TV and I was racing, there was a big group of French athletes back then as well. Whatever they're doing in their high-performance program, it's spot on.
Well, it certainly looks like it. It's 15 seconds now, and the Falcon needs to fly, as does Christian Blumenfeld, who...
A little bit of a grimace there.
Yeah, he's always got that face. He's got that face at breakfast.
Yeah, I can imagine that these bricks and cobblestones are really hurting his under the feet right now. He's just hurting himself even more. I would actually just put my shoes on right now.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea. He didn't need to do it. It's interesting. To me, it says I don't back my swim. To me, it says, look, I'm going for the win. I got Vincent Louis off the front. I'm not comfortable in my swim, so I want to get that little bit of margin of error on the run.
He's actually losing time around the corners. You can see how he's grimacing and just struggling to actually get around that corner.
Which is always his strength. He's so quick in accelerating. He's so quick off the dead turns. I thought he'd use this tailwind now with shoes on to really use that leg speed he has to open up. And he's just not able to use that strength effectively.
An absolute French lesson it is today in Jersey. We are, of course, very close to the French, well, the mainland, and Normandy's just across the water. And after Cassandra Beaugrand absolutely dominated in the women's final and got first blood on Katie Zafiris and the rest of the field, it is a French 1-2 right now with Vincent Louis, our reigning champion, and Pierre LaCour, who comes in as a qualifier from our Bali qualifier, the first of three we had earlier in the year to determine the qualifying spots for this championship series. You can see the gap back there, about 12. So, well, it's actually Hayden's eaten into it a little bit now. He's gotten rid of Christian Blumenfeld. It was 15 seconds at the start of the run. It's now 12. But then, of course, we've got to go back into the swim for the third time. Mola has moved up in front of Ben Canute, Berger and Royal.
That's a strong group. You've got Aaron Royal there who's showed his swim power. You've got Ben Canute there who's always chasing. Mario Mola will actually set that tempo on the run for them if they can stay together. I think Pierre LaCour looks magnificent off the shoulder of Vincent Louis and could be a danger play. Vincent will try and squeeze this swim, but Pierre LaCour is no slug in the water.
No, not at all. And Mario Mola is actually in a very good spot. He's in front of some strong swimmers, so he can afford to just jump in the water, let them come around, and maybe just join them at the exit of the swim again.
All right, France 1 and 2, and LaCour is the only man, you think, at this point, who has a good shout of winning this race and taking the pink jersey, and it'll be so good to see a qualifier take the pink jersey in to Malta on the 19th and 20th of October, but it's not over yet. Hayden Wild 12 seconds all by himself. Christian Blumenfeld 24 seconds, Mola, and then, as you say, Berger, Canute and Royal. There is the Falcon heading in to the top of transition. The shoes come off for Vincent Louis, and he'll try to get out.
He'll really squeeze this swim now, Vincent Louis. He knows Hayden Wild sitting in third. Between the two of them, they need to open up a little bit more, get a bit more margin of area, and they can just start focusing on each other.
Hayden Wild is stuck in a little bit of no man's land. He's going to have no one's feet to be swimming on with this third swim leg. I can imagine the group behind him catching up.
I agree. I think Hayden likes to be on his own. We saw that in the semi-final yesterday. I think he can focus on his stroke. He doesn't get caught up and beaten up. But I think the power swimmers in this group, with Royal and Canute are at the back, and I see them as the better swimmers of the four.
Blumenfeld would have looked at that and said, not only, well, I may have to run with my shoes off, but when I get through transition on the way back into the swim, I don't have to stop again. But what he's done is he's put himself by himself.
Yes.
Now, so that advantage, when we might see him come through at the top of the gate there, he is just as we're going out of shot as Aidan Longcroft-Harris is the next to be eliminated, but he's put himself 3 seconds ahead of a group of 4 who are just going to swallow him straight away.
Yeah, without question.
No, you can't. I mean, obviously you can't see ahead of time, but unfortunately for him, it hasn't quite worked out.
Well, I tell you, when he puts his shoes on, or if he opts to put his shoes on, it's going to feel like he's on a couch. It's going to feel amazing, you know. So
if he can hold this, he's not going to be able to hold off Bergier, Canute, etc. You would think, but strange things have happened.
Royal's dropping off the back there. He's got a big swim, but if Royal was on the front there and he came across, it would have been a lot more beneficial for Christian Blumenfeld to have those bigger swimmers dive in the water early, catch him earlier, and start to eat into that pace up front. Because I bet you right now, Vincent Lewis will put the hammer down with Pierre Lecour, and they are committed to winning the race in this swim.
Gustav Eden, world champion 2 weeks ago, and now very much on the cusp of being eliminated on the back end of this swim. Anthony Poujard, good swimmer. Martin Van Riel, second yesterday. In the back, Gustav Eden.
I think Gustav Eden is in a little bit of trouble. He's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be eliminated after this swim.
When you look at the two athletes in front of him, both of them are power swimmers. He's not going to eat into them at all, and I think he's gone.
Good to see you both agree with me. Doesn't happen very often. Aaron Royal in 8:33 seconds back. Mario Mola half a minute back with Canute and Bergier. And I think Blumenfeld there, you can see his stroke. He's been caught by the group of 4 with Wild all by himself as the sun comes out here in Jersey once again. 4 seasons in a day, there's no doubt about it.
I think Hayden is actually having a great race as well. He's really being aggressive. He's really pushing, and he's really working his swim out. I think he's holding really tough, and I think if he can actually hold the guys off behind, he can have a really good chance to get that 3rd position. And if Pierre Lecour has gone too hard in the beginning, you might actually find Hayden Wild passing him on that run.
Hayden Wild, he's been mentored by Olympic champion Hamish Carter, who was one of the greatest swim runners of triathlon in history, in my opinion. Actually, one of the first all-rounders. And I know he had a chat to Hamish Carter last night. He's really bringing him along. And if you ever knew a tactician, that man was brilliant at it. And we saw him run away with an Olympic gold medal in Athens.
Mario Mola is looking like he's in a good position. He's hanging on with these swimmers, but I think they're just struggling to come around Blumenfeld. I do feel that their arms are really struggling at this stage. It's the 3rd round already, and yeah, I mean, you can maybe even, their arms would be cramping. The water is cold. It's not exactly warm outside either, and Ben Canute is pushing the pace right now.
But you see Aaron Royal, who came from last in that group, to come up on Ben Canute, who was first out of the group. The 2 better swimmers. Had Aaron got in that water a little earlier, a bit quicker in transition, I think this group would have travelled a bit faster. And that's what I was saying earlier. If you can get those faster swimmers, and Christian Blumenfeld is smart enough to let them do the work, they're just slowing each other up a little bit there.
Yeah, that was something I used to do, is I try and get around them before I jump in the water. It's just so much more difficult trying to swim around them in the water.
Because they end up coming across. I wasn't ever a good swimmer, so people like you swimming past me were a gem, because you get to ride your way for at least 100 metres and push yourself up from the next fastest swimmer coming up again.
I wonder if this is the point where Vincent Louis is actually attacking Pierre Lecour.
He's just put a second or 2 on him out of the water. Let's see how fast Vincent Lewis comes to the top of that ramp and see if he's really trying to push the pace on Lecour. But we are now in the 5th of 8 legs of this race, and Lecour is sticking to Lewis like glue. The 2 Frenchmen out of the water comes Wild. It was 12 seconds going in. We'll be interested to see what's happening in that swim. I think they've probably put a little bit more in. Look at that, 28 seconds now. Is it a little bit more? It's a lot more. There's Canute, Blumenfeld, Royal comes out of the water as well. Leo Bergier on the shoes go, and Lecour comes out just ahead of Vincent Lewis. Let's not forget, though, we're probably getting towards that time that Vincent Lewis has a short chute, so he gets to go through that short chute you can see on screen there, and just that little bit of extra area. It looks like the wind has dropped a little bit. I say that, we'll go out there and get blown away, but it just looks as though the conditions are a little bit more favourable than they were during the women's race. There's Angie Olmo with the yellow beanie on, the partner of Leo Bergier, egging him on. And here is the lone Falcon.
Who's having a magnificent race. If you contrast it back to last year's series, he was always in the group. He had some breakthrough performances, but like yesterday, this has been a solo standout performance by Hayden Wilde. He's chasing the world champion, the current world champion, who's been shadowed by his teammate Pierre Lecour, who also has a very, very solid resume for a young Kiwi boy who came here raw as anything last year to be in this company and doing what he's doing is ridiculous.
You can see Vincent Louis and Pierre Lecour are actually puffing quite hard. I think they really pushed the beginning of that race, and it's really having an effect on them, but I do think that they have enough lead. And with them pushing so hard, you're going to find guys maybe losing out on the 90-second rule.
Here's Gustav Eden. I think he's done. His day's over. The current Ironman 70.3 world champion.
He looks happy.
He had a great day.
He did have a great day, and it's good to have him on board. But I'll tell you what, that crowd down there, it's hard not to enjoy when you come through transition, I imagine, because the crowd's about 6 deep on either side.
I don't know either. Henry would know.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, isn't it?
No one ever cheers for us, do they, Raka? Has a little look at the screens that line the course and finds that Pierre Lecour is right behind him. Let's have a look at just the resume.
It looks like he just keeps falling off and making himself back. Vincent is really grimacing and he's really pushing, trying to drop him now.
Pierre Lecour is just shadowing him. What's he thinking right now? You know this section of the course better than anyone. You were actually Pierre Lecour last year with Vincent Lewis off the front.
Before we keep going, I think Joe's got Gustav Eden.
Okay.
Stuff with me here, Gustav, just barely recovering here. It's been a tough couple of weeks for you. How did you find that out there?
Oh, it's so hard. It's a bit of a shame that the bike wasn't on today, but as you can see after the wind, it's irresponsible to have any cycling race today, so it was a good decision. But for me, it's the bike link is the strongest for me, so to not have it, it's a bit of a shame.
And it also meant that some of the athletes were choosing to do different things with their running with the swim cap, and your fellow teammates, fellow countryman Christian Blumenfeld, running without his shoes. What do you think about that?
He's not winning, so we'll see how it goes, but it's not limited either, so I'm not sure it's the right decision, but he's still in there.
He seems to be falling back a little bit, but he's still holding on. Anyway, we'll let you recover, and let's cheer on the boys.
Thank you.
Well done.
That's a nice way of saying, I think Christian's absolutely mad.
They all are. The Norwegians are renowned for their hard training. They're just complete and utter warriors. They're dominating on that WTS circuit. They've just come out in the last 3 years and just made a huge statement. And Christian's got shoes on.
He's got his shoes back on.
He opted to put the shoes on. Look at him go straight past the group and run a lot better.
He's running on a cloud. There's two warriors at the front of that pack too. Ben Canute as well. We haven't even mentioned him during this race, but he knows he has a way to fight. Like, a little bit like Eden, he knows how to win at 70.3 level. He can do the job here too. He doesn't know any way, but as hard as you can.
He's as tough as nails across all distances, and every race we've ever done in Super League, he's always put himself right there. He always has that grimace and is always pushing forward. He's the perfect athlete to be around if you have had a bad discipline and you need to move forward, because you know his mindset is, I'm moving forward no matter what.
Wild's taken 5 seconds out of these two in the first lap of this run, which is no mean feat, because they're really pushing each other, Lecour and Lewis. In fact, that makes it 6 seconds now as they get the update. 22 seconds back. He was 28 coming out of the water. But these two have, between them, just about won everything that needs to be won.
He just surged there, Vincent Lewis.
Yeah, he keeps surging, but Lecour just keeps hanging on, and it's actually Lecour's in a very good position. He's sheltered by the wind. Louis is working very hard into the wind, and maybe he's just hurting himself towards the end of this race.
We don't see the windy section there.
Yeah, he's
that's
working
right
really
into
hard.
the headwind right there. You see Vincent Lewis grimacing. And I asked you earlier, you've been there. How does Vincent Lewis attack this race? Last year we were watching you. He seems to do that accelerations, and
he's really putting the foot down now. He wants to make sure that he has a gap going into that water, and so that he can just really control the rest of this race and have an easier win.
It's been a while since we've seen him push this hard.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, yes, obviously yesterday it was a bit of a victory lap for him, but
Lecour looks really comfortable.
He does.
He's not
He
really
really
putting in your face.
And this is a guy that was two-time French national champ, former under-23 world champ, fourth in the Gold Coast in the grand final last year. We'll head back down to Joe right now.
Okay, well, I'm with Tyler. We're right by Lecour's box, and it's just so interesting to see how he is just hanging on and making Vincent work.
And Pierre just keeps really destroying him in transitions, and that's adding up. We'll see how they do into the wind, but Pierre seems to be playing a smart game right now.
back to you guys.
Didn't even bend down to take the shoes off LaCour then, just kicked them off and kept going. And
that could slow him up in the next transition. You've got them both over, and Vincent Lewis finds those little mistakes that athletes have made and capitalises on them. But to me, Pierre LaCour has been able to just follow his pace all day. He's been able to sit off him, ride those headwinds, stay protected. And as you said, we've never seen Vincent Lewis in this position. And maybe Pierre LaCour's like, hey, mate, this has been my time to shine. You just came along and took my glory as a French star, and now you're the world champion, and I'm going to take your pink jersey off you.
With all due respect, we have seen him push this hard before by the man that sits between us. We're sitting there going, we've never seen him work so hard. And Henry's like, what about all of last year, you guys?
I nearly killed him last year.
Exactly. But when we say that, I suppose it's like we've never seen him grimace like that.
Yes. You can definitely see he's under pressure, and Pierre LaCour knows he's under pressure. He's looking very comfortable. He's actually jumped right onto his shoulder, maybe to slow him down, make him work even harder on the swim.
This will be interesting, very interesting. And Vincent knows he's not going to drop Pierre LaCour in the water now. So whether it becomes a tactical match race and they start looking at each other, Hayden Wilde, I think, has given them too much real estate to close in on. But if they do start to look at each other and ease up and start to think about getting to this finish line first, it'll be interesting to see whether Vincent Louis' dynamite kick, he's only lost one race out of, 7 shootouts. He's won 6
when
or
it
7.
comes down to the last run of any Super League race, it's happened 7 times that Vince has been part of that, and 6 times he's had the biggest split. And Anthony Poujade is our next to go. But of the 23 runs ever in Super League Triathlon before this season, Vincent Lewis has won 12 of them on the splits. And when it comes to the last one, he's won 6 of 7, and he came second the other time. And I don't know who came first. Let's just say it was you, Henry. I assume it was. Who else would it be?
Richard Murray.
Yeah, probably.
It was Richard Murray in Malta.
Was Richard Murray in Malta, and then when he won up the hill.
It was.
All right, sorry, Henry, stand down. Hayden Wilde, 22 seconds back, and that's a full half a minute from Ben Canute, Christian Blumenfeld and Leo Bergier, Mario Moller together. They've dropped Aaron Royal by 4 seconds heading into the water, and Martin Van Riel will probably be the next to be eliminated. So Van Riel, and you've got to give props to Van Riel and Hayden Wilde, probably our 2 guys that really will hurt the most by the dropping of the bike, with Gustav Iden as well, but especially while Van Riel's hung in there to make it into the top 10. But Hayden Wilde, his bike yesterday was supreme, and you heard him on the pontoon. It was really going to hurt him, but he's going to hang in on a guy that's not a noted swimmer and probably take 3rd.
We can say that, but Hayden Wilde has sat 3rd solo since the 2nd triathlon. So his swim and run has not hurt him at all today either. So we've taken the bike out of which he excelled at. He's got the bike jersey out. He was quickest on the course yesterday on the bike. Yet on his swim and run, he's sitting 3rd amongst the best in the world. So, and we've done it 4 times.
We have, and that whole time we haven't been able to. Let's get your predictions, Henry. We haven't been able to separate these 2 Frenchmen. Do we give Pierre LaCour a chance, considering that not only does Vince have a kick that you've experienced a few times, he also has the short shoot.
Yeah, he's got that short shoot, so I think he knows he's got that up his sleeve, but he is working really hard. He's been in front the entire race. Pierre LaCour has just been following every move, being sheltered, swimming in his draft, and maybe he's just got a little bit of energy to break Louis, because he's really been grimacing, he's really been trying to break him, and he just can't.
The interesting part will be where you make that break. So do you use the tailwind out of transition and try and use your leg speed, knowing that you're going to have to punch that headwind as you come around the back of the buildings back onto the marina side? It's where you get that break and how you tactically do it that'll be interesting, or whether they play a match race. And I think Pierre LaCour has to do something early, knowing that short shoot's there. It'll be interesting to see whether he tries to capitalise or says, you know what.
It'll be interesting to see when he uses it. Yeah. If he decides to use it right at the end, or even on the first lap and break
He could do that right now. You're right. He could do that right now. We're going to see he's going to head up the ramp for the final time, and it is Vincent Lewis, reigning champion, in control. He had a win in the semi-final yesterday, but he's being pushed this time. Yesterday it was by Martin Van Riel, and this time it's by Pierre LaCour. There is your 3rd place at the moment. Hayden Wilde, also a semi-final winner, and also with a short shoot up his sleeve, but he's all on his own, so I'm not sure it's going to make any difference.
He's run straight up the back of him again.
What does LaCour do? Why don't we let LaCour just run with no shoes on in the last one?
This is where those shoes that he pulled off very quickly come into play.
Yep. That's true. He's going to put them on, though.
Vincent's off.
And he needs to hold on quickly.
And that's the first time
Vincent's
Vincent's beat him out of transition.
Is he going to take it now? No.
No.
He's not going to take it now. So LaCour has to put a little bit of a spurt on to come up behind as they head up Thunder Alley in that little incline. And he's puffing.
He is blowing, Vincent Lewis.
He's puffing. But Pierre LaCour, he looks solid. And he's going to get back on the back, you'd think. Hayden Wild, 37 seconds back and all by himself. May as well take the short shoot. But it's all about the two Frenchmen. We are on to our last run. 1.6 kilometres between here and our men's leader. Who is it going to be?
LaCour's on. Into that tailwind, LaCour's run onto the back of Vincent Lewis. They're going to make the left, be protected from the wind by that wall on the left-hand side, so there's no wind up the back section. They'll make a right-hand turn around the roundabout.
Ben Canute is having a really good race. He's actually sitting in fourth right now. He had a strong fourth swim. And right now, LaCour is just back onto Louis.
Well, he'll be happy now that he put the shoes on, no doubt. Don't listen to me. 40 seconds back Wild now. These guys are really putting on a show at the front for the French crowd. There's been plenty that have come across the water to watch, and they have been rewarded with a fantastic win by Cassandra Beaugrand.
If LaCour really wants to win this race, he's going to have to attack before the second lap.
He needs to. It's where the... Oh,
there you
Christian
go.
Blumenfeld is out.
Blumenfeld's dropped off the back, so he's been eliminated. He was in 9th position, so we lose the two Norwegians in a row, which leaves Mario Mola, the three-time world champ, at the back of the field. But think about the fact that these two guys, only one of them is in the, well, was in the French mixed team relay that took gold in Tokyo. Oh, I didn't take gold in Tokyo, but oh, yeah, they did, actually. Dorian Connings, the other one, Leonie Perriot and Cassandra Beaugrand, and they didn't have room for Vincent because he didn't turn up, but they've got them up the sleeve when it gets to Tokyo.
So much depth. See Vincent again try and push out of that corner with the headwind. So they've run off that headwind there. They're going to have the wind to the side of them, their left shoulder. Vincent's free on a squeeze, and Pierre LaCour knows he just needs to follow the blue in front of him, but he's going to have to make a move at some point to get some distance.
Well, the short shoot is going to come. Pierre LaCour is going to know that he's going to need to make up probably 3 seconds. But he looks comfortable. I mean, they both look about... it's hard to tell, really. It's really hard to tell.
And as you know, Henry, you've got to have the head in it now that you think you can win it. There's a lot of times you're in this position and you're just fighting to stay second for as long as you possibly can. And when the gap opens, you let it open. If Pierre LaCour thinks he can win this and he's thinking smartly and thinking, I'm in this with a chance, he'll win this race.
Here comes the short shoot. No,
he didn't take it.
He's going to take it on the last.
So it's up to LaCour to
LaCour
attack
has to go
Lewis and break him early on.
A smart move by Vincent Lewis. It puts LaCour on the defense, or Vincent on defense, and LaCour has to attack.
Well, we're going to find out in the next 400 metres whether Pierre LaCour's got anything left in the tank, because he's going to need to find a way to put 3 seconds on. At least 3 seconds more. Here comes Hayden Wild, 43 seconds back now and 20 ahead of Canute. And Bergier has managed to go with Canute. And Royals come back into the reckoning for that group as well, with Mola back at 1:14.
Big race by Hayden Wild. A big race. He's taking his short shoot. There you get it.
There it is.
It's giving him some distance from the athletes behind him. I think he knows there's nothing. He's not going to catch anyone up front here, and just giving that little bit of distance to shut down that third position. But
controlling this race at the front, though, is Lewis, not giving any room for for LaCour. So LaCour's going to need to go around the long way if he's going to get past.
Lewis is also playing it smart. He knows that it's a very technical run, and he's almost blocking the road in front, so making sure that he can't come past, and he just needs to take that short shoot and then win the race.
Yeah, he slowed it up. It looks like he slowed it up in this section. He looks a bit more relaxed, trying to get his breath in, squeezes a little bit out of those corners.
Come on, Pierre. Find a way around.
Well, Pierre,
now's your time.
Well, if he makes the move now, he's got to punch that headwind, and I think Vincent Lewis will come straight onto his shoulder if he is to do that. So I think if he's going to make a move, it has to be when he gets down onto the marina with the wind on your shoulder. And you're going to have to pump all the way through with that headwind down the straight and get a bit of a gap with 3 seconds up. Vincent Lewis up
Next
sleeve.
turn is around onto the marina side.
That was the headwind, and now.
And now's the time for Pierre LaCour.
There goes Louis. I think he's putting in another digging deep. LaCour is just holding on still.
He's holding on, but he's going to need something. It's Vincent Lewis controlling this one like we've seen so many times before. Pierre Lecour tucked in behind. He needs to find a way past him because that short shoot is available for Vincent Lewis. Either way, it's going to be a French 1-2, and it's going to be a great day for France here in the opening championship.
Into the headwind right now. It's a big headwind.
Yes, it is. And that short shoot is going to prove decisive, which is exactly what we wanted when we came up with the innovation. And he's going to take it. A huge crowd down here are going to watch Vincent Lewis win it, is he? And I think he is.
Short shoot.
The short shoot has won it for Vincent Lewis. He has been pushed all the way by Pierre Lecour. For Vincent Lewis, he won the peak all the way through last year, and he's going to take it straight into Malta.
What a race from Lecour. That was actually outstanding.
A brilliant race by Pierre Lecour. I think he shadowed Vincent all day, waiting for a mistake to happen. It never did, and lost it in a short shoot.
He lost it in the short shoot, and the Falcon flies into transition. He's had a huge solo race, Hayden Wild. There's all, you see the flapping wings on the inside as the rest of the athletes congratulate Hayden. He's a very, very popular figure amongst the group of staff and athletes that take the tour around on Super League and are lucky enough to be a part of it. But congratulations to Hayden Wild. Another step in cementing, I guess, his credentials, and he picks up the Kiwi flag, which has been conveniently left for him by his brother who's here, and well done to Hayden Wild.
Brilliant race by Hayden Wild. When we talked about his bike strength being negated without the bike ride, to finish third in this field behind those two athletes.
Here comes Canute, and he's done it on the sprint. Wow. He gets Leo Bergère, and look how much it means to him. Leo Bergère and Aaron Royal, but Canute deserved that. He really muscled it out. He made a little breakaway, got caught again. And Mario Mola, three-time world champion, lost his world championship title to Vincent Lewis a couple of weeks ago. Still probably considered the best triathlete in the last 10 years or so.
Lost it by coming second in the world.
Yeah, lost it by coming second, yeah. Lost it, still came second. Always got a smile on his face, comes across the line in seventh, picks up some championship points. Hugs between the current and former world champ. So good to have the best in the world fight it out on a beautiful course under the sun now. We can leave here and say what a wonderful day it was, but in reality it was horrible.
Horrible day. It looked fantastic on television. It's blowing a gale out there.
It is, and there is your champion from Jersey. He did it last year, won both days, and when it all came down to it, he did the same thing again this year. He never let go of the pink jersey. And we've got 7 rounds.
Martin Van Riel ran barefoot that last round. Just, obviously to save himself from elimination. Got those extra points.
Martin Van Riel just doing the little run around, trying to save his feet as much as possible, and enjoying what this crowd has brought as well. In transition, they come out rain, hail or shine, we keep saying that, but
when I woke up this morning and I saw the conditions, I thought we wouldn't have a soul on this course. I didn't think we were going to race. The athlete recovery tent was in the marina. We had barricades everywhere, and to see them come out like this is just testament to the people of Jersey.
We had to get divers to rescue barriers from the marina. As you say, the athlete recovery tent blew into the construction site. You can see there it was mangled.
Unbelievable. We lost camera jibs. We had trucks return. It was unbelievable.
You were fine though. You were just in your hotel room.
Yeah, I was asleep.
You were in makeup there for a few hours. Everything was under control for Chris McCormack, but everything else was out of control. So full credit to our crew for putting this event on under what has been extremely adverse conditions. There's no doubt that it's been a challenge for both the athletes and also for the crew, but a man who really rose to the challenge and conquered it is Vincent Lewis. He's with Joe right now.
Well, congratulations, Vincent. You did it again. How did it feel to this time come through such a battle with your fellow countrymen?
Yeah, that was good fun. I reckon we had a lot of fun. We tried to help each other a bit, but then we had a quick chat, and just Pierre told me, "You're too strong today. Just lead, and I stick with you as long as I can." So yeah, we just made our way off the front pretty quickly, and then we just had to control Hayden at the back.
Okay, so you had a chat. Wow, and how tactical were you thinking? Because you knew you had that short shoot to finish with.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we just want to bring the pink jersey back in France. So him or me, that would have been the same. We just want this jersey to be on some French shoulders, and with Cassan on the women's side, it's always good to have both men and women. But yeah, by the end, I knew I had the short shoot. I knew I can push hard until the end and just take the short shoot by the end. But yeah, I just had to make sure that he did not attack me during the last run, and I made it okay. So yeah, all good with that.
Okay, let's bring in Pierre. Pierre, come here. I mean, what a massive performance from you. How was that for you? Were there moments that you thought perhaps you could get your fellow countrymen?
Yeah, I never thought that I'm going to beat Vincent today. I was already on the run. I told Vincent I'm going to not to let you win, but you are obviously better than me today, and he had the short shoot. So I knew that I'm not going to have this 5-10 seconds faster than him on the last, so I knew that my job was to stay on his feet as long as possible.
Does it make it sweeter that it's a 1-2 from France, or is it always a good rivalry?
No, it's really great for me because Vincent is the world champion this year, and to stay on his feet for all the aquathlon, I would say, is really nice for me.
And of course, you get to take that pink jersey. You like wearing that pink jersey, don't you? How exciting to be able to defend that again in Malta.
Yeah, it's gonna be good to be back in pink. I know one of my sponsors already make some custom shoes and everything for me to be pink, so I would have been a bit disappointed not wearing the pink. But yeah, bring on Malta. Can't wait to race there. I really like Malta. I can't wait to see Jake, this kid that I met last year, and I want to meet him again. So yeah, if I can win again in Malta with the pink jersey on my shoulders, that would be great.
Okay, everyone's talking about the prize money. You're looking forward to wearing your pink shoes and pink jersey. We'll see you in Malta. Well done, both of you.
Look good first, win second, isn't it? Pink jersey, pink shoes and pink jersey, or look good first and win as well. And that's exactly what Vincent Lewis did, 5 seconds ahead of Pierre Lecour. Hayden Wild in the end finished 50 seconds back, but he had a very lonely second half of that race. And how good was that finish from Ben Canute, 1 second ahead of Leo Berger? So good to see Aaron Roll, Mario Moller and Martin Van Riel, the men who made it through. And that is half the field from our start of 15, and 15 quality athletes they were to take on that kind of challenge in those kind of conditions and do it in a tick over 40 minutes. That's amazing.
3 French athletes in the top 5, a win in the women's racing. The high performance program, as I said before, of France is remarkable. Going into the Tokyo Games, they are going to be very difficult to beat in that mixed relay. What a race.
Must be stinging for you, Henry. We'll get to you in just a second. We'll go back down to Joe right now, who's found the Falcon.
Indeed, I have the Falcon with me. He's getting used to these interviews now. You made that hard work for yourself, but well done. 3rd place. Are you happy with the way you ran it?
Oh, absolutely stoked. Like, for me, I just came in here with an open-up mind. You know, it was like my bike's gone, and I've got the green jersey on for the reason why. And, yeah, to actually have a good leg in the swim, or 4 legs, absolutely stoked to come in 3rd. That was, for me, it was unexpected. Especially, you know, having just the run in the swim, but I knew the run form's there, and I just had to keep pushing hard, and every time I pushed further, I knew I'd get a bigger gap, and a bigger gap in the water for me is better. And on that last one, I could see that, you know, the boys were getting tired, I was getting really tired, so it was really equal by the time we got to that last leg. So yeah, stoked to come home with the 3rd place.
How did you keep yourself going mentally, going all that way on your own, bracing the wind?
At the start, I was trying to be super strategical, so it was for me to just go down Thunder Alley and use that tailwind to get onto the group, stayed on the group until the headwind, use my other competitors as kind of shields for the first 2 rounds, and then from there I just had to battle it by myself. And I think Pierre Lecour and Vincent up the front had a big advantage, just working with each other and, you know, using the headwind and just transferring each other to the front. And yeah, for me it was just a battle by myself. Had people chasing me, I had to chase people. So for me, I guess it was a good position because I was actually chasing someone. So yeah, absolutely stoked. And yeah.
And you seem to be improving all the time. You've definitely made a name for yourself at Super League this weekend. Does it feel like a breakthrough weekend? Yeah,
for sure. Like as I said, like you know, still learning the ropes of on the swim league. You know, I've been swimming for about 2.5, 3 years properly. So yeah, like just coming here and having, you know, two days of 2 good swim legs. Yeah, absolutely stoked. And you know, coming I think 6th here last year and coming 3rd. You know, you got to be chuffed with that. So yeah.
And in Malta, we can promise you 2 things: sunshine and a bike leg. I hope. Anyway, will you be looking forward to that?
Oh man, like I've looked at the routine, and I'm really looking forward to it. You know, the same swim bike run on the first day, and then the bike time trial with the equalizer on that. It's got to be. I'm really excited for that, and especially for the Malta Hill, and you know, getting a nickname, the Maltese Falcon, pretty much going home to Malta is going to be it's going to be great. So I'm really looking forward to getting there.
The Maltese Falcon. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Well done, Hayden.
Thanks so much. Cheers.
Going home to Malta.
He's a legend.
I love that.
He's just come of age, hasn't he? He's remarkable. He raced outside his skin. He just keeps getting stronger and stronger. It's amazing.
Well, as we look at the race replay, I just want to get your thoughts, Henry. I mean, we've got a lot of superlatives for Hayden Wilde. We feel like he's going to be a big part of Super League going forward. But from an athlete's perspective, looking at a guy like that, I mean, where's his ceiling?
Yeah, no, he's really coming into his own, and even though that the bike has been taken out, he really showed his class act, and he worked his way through the field. Johnny getting eliminated there, which was a bigger surprise.
And did you see who was right in front of Johnny? It was Hayden Wilde. How close he was to being eliminated.
Yeah, so it was actually Hayden Wilde that outsmarted Jonathan Brown.
Well, yeah, that was those two who were, like, what did Johnny say in that interview? He basically got beaten up by Hayden
Wilde.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting
at dinner tonight. The first person
tonight.
ever to say that he got bashed up by Hayden Wilde. He's not a big guy.
It's going to be interesting at dinner tonight between those two. But
and it was really gutsy. This was a point where Hayden Wilde lost the feet of Vincent Louis and Pierre Lecour, and he was just by himself the rest of the race. And gutsy for him to just keep swimming hard and stay in front of the strong swimmers behind him.
Well, we expected Ben Canute and Aaron Royal to close in on Hayden Wilde because of his weaker swimming, and that group to be formed behind and potentially eating that. It just never happened. Hayden stayed solo, used his run, set up for the swim again, and he was never spearheaded in third place.
It was about this point when we head into the last swim that we felt like finally it could be that Pierre Lecour doesn't get dropped. We always expected it to happen. He didn't, but it was interesting to say he always knew that he wasn't going to be able to get there today, and they were able to have a discussion, and across the line came Vincent Louis, only 5 seconds ahead, and it would have been more had Lecour tried to sprint it to the line. But you mentioned halfway through, we wonder whether he's just hanging on or not. So he must have just been trying to hang in there, knowing that he never really had the legs to outdo Lewis.
Yeah, and I think Louis, he was actually having a smart race. He knew he had to break Hayden Wilde early on, and that's what he did, and he left Hayden Wilde in no man's land.
Let's have a look at the leaderboard. After round 1, we head to Malta in 3 weeks' time, and Vincent Louis is where he always seems to be, at the top of the pile. If he can go back-to-back in Malta, and we hope he can't, we hope Henry Schoeman dives in. I'm just saying that because he's next to me. He will pick up an extra bonus point. Pierre Lecour, our qualifier, with 14. Hayden Wilde, 13. Ben Canute gets the all-important point in that sprint ahead of Leo Bergier. It's not Berger, it's Bergier anyway. Aaron Royal, Mario Mola, and Martin Van Riel round out your top 8, and we head down to the championship points. Everyone gets at least one who made it into the final, but it's no mean feat to make it into the final. The quality of the athletes that didn't make it, like a Matt Sharp and a Tyler Mislachuk, it just shows you how Super League is evolving year on year, and if you don't get in on the ground floor, suddenly that elevator just probably gets away from you, because I guess the experience of racing Super League year on year, round on round, takes those guys another step away from people that come in new, well, except for Pierre Lecour, who knows how to do it.
Well, and for someone like Tyler Mislachuk, who would have revelled in this swim-run format, that semi-final could be very, very costly for him for contract points. He's got no points now, 15 behind Vincent Louis. It's very, very difficult for him to close those gaps. He needs some big performances and to isolate some of those scoring athletes in those semi-finals and eliminate them.
To give you more of an idea of how Super League's going to shake out over the 2019-20 season, we have Malta in 3 weeks' time, October 19th to 20th, so check your local guides for that. And then we're going to have a break because there's this small competition in the middle called the Olympics, I think. Oh, I pronounced that correctly.
No one's ever heard of it.
Yeah, and then we're going to have 5 rounds in about 10 weeks, so it's going to be a really interesting split season. And when it comes down to that 5 rounds, there's going to be some amazing battles.
Well, they're the crunch rounds. I think when you've got 5 races at the end of the post the Olympic Games, that's when you're going to accumulate points with the ability to defend a round. Athletes that are looking to grab those contracts and take that big prize at the end need to look at wins and defences.
Yeah, you're going to have some athletes coming right off the Olympics. They're going to be super fit, and it's just going to make racing much more exciting.
Absolutely, it is. And Henry, are we going to see you in Malta in a few weeks' time?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I've had 1 week of training, and I need to just build up a little bit of base and hopefully have a little bit of speed before. Malta's a really tough race. There's that big hill that's going to really
spread the field out.
All right, that wraps us up from here in Jersey. We hope you've enjoyed our telecast. We'll be back very soon with Malta in 3 weeks' time. Make sure you check your local guides for that. Super League Triathlon, round 1, done and dusted.
Well, I have Christian Blumenfeld with me. Wasn't your day today, but first thing I want to talk to you about, there's been a lot of discussions while you've been racing about your choice of footwear. Tell me, what was the thinking behind that, and was it the right decision?
Not to do it twice, but I think like running without shoes on the first one was fine. And then I thought, okay, I can do it again and put me in an easy position after the transition. But then on the second round, my feet just hurt too much. So yeah, I shouldn't have done it twice. So
a lot of things obviously changed with this race, the format, and obviously taking out the bike at the last minute. You know, this is what happens when the conditions change like that. In retrospect, if you could do it all again, what would you do differently?
Well, I think it wasn't too bad to put on the shoes and like to drop it on the first one, because suddenly there's some people behind doing it, and suddenly you're lost and getting eliminated. So yeah, I don't know. I was saving a little bit for last run, but then suddenly I was last in the course and I was taken out. So yeah, that came quickly.
Well, Super League, it is always so unpredictable. Changes in formats, changes in orders. Have you enjoyed yourself? How's your weekend been overall?
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice to be back here in Jersey, but I was obviously hoping for more. So, but it's good to be started again, and hopefully it will be better in Malta.
Yes, looking ahead to Malta, are we going to see the Viking back out there and getting some sweet revenge?
Yeah, for sure. I will be there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll see you in Malta.
Thank you.
Thanks very much to Christian for his time, and it's been a fantastic weekend down here in Malta, and we are going to wrap it up with the men's podium presentation. There's some very cold athletes down here, so we'll get it underway right now. The men's podium presentation for the championship and the final here in Jersey, round 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, the presentation ceremony for the RBC Super League Triathlon Jersey men's competition. Please welcome the athletes to the podium.
Off you go, guys.
The trophies will be presented by Senator Lyndon Farnham, Deputy Chief Minister of Jersey. In third place, Hayden Wild. In second place, Pierre Lecour.
Congratulations, went through fantastic. I thought you had it at the end. Well done, and welcome to Jersey. Thank you.
And in first place, your RBC Super League Triathlon Jersey champion, Vincent Louis.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You have to come and live here with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please, for our podium. jersey, please, one more time for first, second, and third place here at RBC Super League Triathlon jersey. Hayden Wild, Pierre Lacour, and Vincent Louis.
Three very, very worthy podium getters. There's no doubt about it. Hayden Wild with such a great run, all on his own. Pierre Lacour pushed Vincent Louis all the way. How good was that racing? It was good to see two up front for the first time, really, across the weekend. We've had some amazing individual runs to win, but that race in two was something else.
Well, when we changed that format, there was so much talk about what was going to happen, and I think it turned out better than we anticipated. Pierre Lacour shadowing Vincent Louis the whole way in the short shoot, winning in the event. Hayden Wild, who we expected to be outclassed without that bike ride, showing his class in both swim and bike and how much in swim and run and how much he's improved, and the crowd coming out in the droves. Incredible racing.
It's just really, he's got a mortgage on that top step here in Jersey, doesn't he?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'll have to really work hard and make sure I come back fighting.
You're stinging, aren't you? You're like jumping on the spot.
I was watching Henry in that last part of the race, watching the screen there in the commentary position, thinking, what can I do to unlodge this guy? So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Malta.
I think it's good to note that Hayden Wild, he really enjoyed that champagne shower. He's on his first podium in the Super League.
Yeah, and he drank half the bottle. He sprayed most of the champagne and then drank half that bottle.
Well, that's smart. You don't want to be spraying it all away. It's good champagne. We're not too far from the Champagne region at the end of the day. We're going to see Vincent Louis reclaim his pink jersey in just a second. And can anyone head him off in this? I mean, it's a long season this time.
Oh, if anyone can head him off, it's Henry Schumann. I think we saw that today. But outside Henry, I think, Pierre Lacour showed a lot of class today. Hayden Wild in Malta could do anything. And as is always the case when you put on an event, when it finishes, the sun comes out, the wind drops, and it looks magnificent. But Malta will be warm. Zandru from Malta is promised the world that will be the case.
All right, it's time for Vincent Louis to pick up his pink jersey once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, your championship leader in the pink jersey, Vincent Louis.
Congratulations to Vincent Louis, who picks up the pink once again. And that pretty much wraps us up here from Jersey. We'll try and get a few interviews in just a second, but just a thought on what we can expect in Malta.
I think what we can expect is pretty much a little bit more of the same. I think we'll get a bike ride in Malta with the different conditions. I'm expecting a lot more from Hayden Wild. He just looked so strong yesterday in the semi-finals on that bike leg, and a little bit more from the Norwegians.
All right, before they go, I'm just going to see if I can take Jordan, if you come with me. Vincent, if you've got a second there, mate, how do you feel wearing the pink once again?
That's good. I mean, I think pink suits me well, no?
Okay, all right. And you get the pink shoes too to go with it in Malta.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll see whatever. But yeah, they say they got some shoes for me. So yeah, I'll see. I hope they will match my suit. But yeah, pretty happy. Obviously, that was a tough race with Pierre. We had a great battle, and as I say, it was good to, by the way, speak French in between each other. That was really nice. That having to speak English with the other guys. So yeah, I'm really happy with Pierre. He was a tough guy to beat. But yeah, I hope we bring a good show here.
And we're going to run in some vision right now of that kick up the hill in Malta, and you happen to drop the guy that's standing right behind you, shadowing you right now. The two of you going to go head to head once again?
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I told Henry I was really good that he wasn't racing. I mean, he's a great guy to race with. Got the Olympic medal around his neck. He's a tough opponent, and we had good fun all year long last year to race together. I got much respect for him, and I was really sorry for him too. He was sick, and yeah, I hope he's gonna be ready for Malta, but I'm sure he will, and for a full Super League season, I hope.
Okay, so he was very nice to you, Henry. You got any trash talk for him from the way back? He's still got the one with the pink jersey.
No, you had a great race. You really were smart out there, and I really look forward to racing you in Malta. It's that big hill, and yeah, let's see how that goes. Hopefully I can get some training and maybe race you for that blue and pink jersey.
Yeah.
Tell me, did you get a chance to talk to your partner Taylor about how she found the women's racing, and do you think Katie Zafiris can bounce back and oust your countrywoman Cassandra, who was just dominant today?
Yeah, Cassandra was really strong. It was impressive from her. But yeah, Katie is a tough athlete. I mean, she was world champ, and I mean, I know how it is. You have so many commitments to do after world championships, and she was really busy with media and everything, so I'm sure she will bounce back to Malta. We're going to Girona, Spain tomorrow, and Katie will be with me, and we have a good block of training leading to Malta. That's a tough race with the heat, and I'm sure she will do well.
All right, we'll let you go right now before you freeze. I know you're nice and warm in the pink, but off you go. You're all good. Little pats on the back. Pats on the back, and then just maybe a little push, maybe a little shove in the back.
Punch him.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice.
It'll be a nice fair race in Malta.
Yeah.
We've had to overcome a few obstacles here in Jersey, but the athletes have as well. But it's nice the sun comes out and a big crowd and watches the finish as well. And isn't it good to see this build year on year in Jersey? It's the third year we've been back here now, and the way the people embrace it, and the way that that people like and Vince embrace the crowd and the week as well here as well.
Well, the triathletes are becoming household names here in Jersey. As you said, it's the third year. I know the kids look forward to them coming. You see them walking through the streets and yelling their names. The gentleman getting the green jersey behind me, Hayden Wilds, is a crowd favourite. Vincent's a crowd favourite. Henry Schumann is a crowd. It's just a great place to put an event and a great place for the Super League as a brand.
Absolutely right. Let's see if I can grab someone else here. We're still filling until we get to the end. Vicky, you feeling warm?
I'm feeling cozy. I've got a coat and a dry robe on. I'm pretty toasty now, yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit during the week about you weren't exactly happy with how you went last year. That's all erased now. Do you feel happy with your result now? You had a really strong finish. And how good was that sprint finish as well? I loved it.
Yeah, that was a little bit of pride at stake there. I just thought, we weren't in contention for a podium, but, every place counts. I wanted to really fight for it to the line. Those three girls who beat me today, exceptional. They were great yesterday. They were all quicker than me yesterday. And I think I've not had the greatest of years, so actually to finish with that today, really happy.
Well, congratulations. You picked up some very valuable championship points. Big smile on your face as well.
Absolutely, yeah, loved it. Thanks.
All right, we'll just head around here and I'll pick up Macca and Henry once again. We're going to wrap up right now. That's pretty much it from us here in Jersey. Any last thoughts on how that was?
I'm glad it's over. When we woke up this morning, I was that nervous we weren't going to have an event, and to pull that out and to see a race like that, to see these athletes shine in a swim run format was remarkable. I'm just proud of my team and proud of all the athletes that put together an amazing race.
With the change in format, we've actually seen some innovations in transition, so maybe we see more of that in the future.
Henry, it's been great to have you in commentary, as it has to have Georgia Taylor-Brown, Jodie Stimson, Tyler Mislachuk, and everybody else, but we really want to see you back out there racing, so do your best to get well, and we want to see you back out and as strong as ever.
Thank you.
Not at all. It's been great having you guys join us here in Jersey across the course of what's been some fantastic racing with some adverse conditions. We hope you've enjoyed watching it at home wherever you are, nice and warm. We've enjoyed bringing it to you. So on behalf of Michael Dolst, Chris McCormack, Leonid Bogoslavsky and the entire Super League team, it is bye for now.